up in chat right now. So click on that link. Put in your donation. Make sure when you donate, you scroll all the way to the bottom, type in !donate, and you can put in your donation towards that incentive. All right. I am getting word that Madelon and friends are ready to share with us the most incredible run of Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age. So, y'all, I'm Hockey Babbler. I'm going to be your host for this run, and I am so stoked to hand it on over to Madelon. Madelon, take it away.
Everyone. We'll be doing, I think the incentive was met for New Game Minus, so we're doing a nice low level run. And then I probably need to know which language for the voice was chosen, and then once I start a run, I can the commentators can introduce themselves.
Absolutely. Let me just refresh this really quickly to make sure that we didn't get any last minute snipes. And it looks like we are going with Japanese, which won out over English, $20 to $15. Thank you all for your donations.
Okay, Japanese it is. Okay, on New Game Minus, we'll start in 3, 2, 1, go. And then the commentators, introduce yourselves.
Hello, my name is Freddeh. I have technically been running this for way too long.
I'm AK47. I have been mostly routing this game for a while now, although not so much the stuff in the Zodiac Age.
And I am DTG. I speedrun the PS2 version of this game. Usually the completion category, which is a lot longer.
Yes, very long.
And we were just...
But not so much TZA, so this is a treat even for me to watch.
It's true, yeah, we were both just like, oh, we have a lot of the long version of the PS2 version of players here, or routers.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about this, especially for a speedrun perspective and for an event scheduling perspective, is the fact that we have speed up here. So changing a few configuration things here just for the run as a whole, running past that guard, because you don't actually have to take him out. He'll usually end up getting taken out by Bosch pretty quickly here, and then Eric Crutter Remora, it's faster to use Thunder, because Thunder deals more damage. And that's it. That's the first fight. Hey, we know how to fight now.
Hey.
Big number, go Burr.
But yeah, speed up 4 times is very useful, and it cuts down an incredible amount of time on the run just in and of itself. Although some of that time is going to be clawed back a bit by the fact that we are not going to be leveling up at all in this run with New Game Minus. That is kind of a version of any low-level challenge just baked into the game once you beat it and you unlock it. And it caps your level to whatever the characters come in at. So it kind of does the same thing as the Firefly accessory did in the original version of the game, just, locks it in there as is.
Yeah. So as much as 4x speed up would make it seem like we can do this 4 times faster, with menu times and running into walls, or maybe that's just me, it tends to take probably about twice as fast overall.
I do that especially on the PS4. Well, I run around super fast like a drunk, basically, if I'm using a PS4 controller.
Bro. I feel ya.
I get where I want to go, but I do not go in a straight line.
Unlike Madelon, who is showing us all up with the amazing lines.
Honestly, that Banggod edge was amazing.
Yeah, use the right controller. It helps you go in straight lines a lot. Got to get those notches.
So we're just learning about our new protagonist, Vaughn. Went down and is doing a job for his boss, I guess, technically.
Yeah, just some guy. He wants to take on some freelancing work because he wants to be a big sky pirate. And so it's like, here, go hunt this random monster that is harassing merchants coming through for this big event. All right, I'll go hunt the rogue tomato. And yeah, that's the first one here. Nice thing there, you can skip tutorials in TZA. That is a whole minute and a half or something section. It feels long.
Oh, yeah.
It's long in the original version.
Yeah.
Hurting my soul skipping the small package.
Don't need it here. Hey, 15K. Let's go.
Woo!
Heck yeah.
I was about to say, pop off, chat. Y'all made that happen.
Someone in chat said too much espresso for Vaughn. Like, even on New Game.
Yeah, so here we have the fight. It's in 2 phases, and it usually takes a certain number of hits. It doesn't matter as much for time in TZA because you're going at 4 times anyway.
Yeah, this is meant as kind of an introduction to the hunt system, which is one of the, I don't want to say mini, but one of the side ways to level up your character and gain license points, which we skipped the tutorial for. Or no, is that later? Whatever. No, that isn't the initial.
No, that was licenses, yeah.
Yeah. Gambits is later. But yeah, that's something that we will completely ignore for the rest of the run, both because we don't need levels and because it's just slow.
That said, the license points that let you unlock licenses are going to be very useful. So license points, which you do get from killing monsters, hunts, and bosses, those are usable, and like I said, it makes things possible, basically.
Yeah, one interesting quirk about bosses in this game is that none of them give you XP. They give you a decent chunk of license points, but not much experience, or actually 0 experience.
And unlike in the vanilla version here, we want to do a couple extra fights to get certain abilities, and also the gold and items that you get along with those are pretty nice. So joining the clan allows you to take on more hunts beyond the rogue tomato, and we will be doing that eventually. First, we're
Yeah, it's for the decoy and oil spells that you can buy from the clan provisioner. So we just want the clan provisioner, not actually hunts, but those spells you can buy from the clan provisioner in this version. But you need to be a clan member to allow to be buying spells there.
Got it. That was one quirk of this run that I was not aware of.
Yeah, I didn't remember off the top of my head which level of clan those were unlocked at.
Yeah, we do need 1 extra hunt, the Textera, to be able to allowed to buy oil. Which is not one you get there, just a regular hunt. But yeah, we do need to take on 1 extra hunt for that reason, yeah.
And Dexter is a very easy hunt.
Yep.
Especially if you don't do it right away. So now we're heading
I
into...
was going to say, after you level up, but, you know, obviously we're not leveling up, so...
Yeah. So now we're heading into the Giza Plains because Vaughn wants to break into the palace to steal some sort of treasure. He doesn't know what. He doesn't really know how. And old Dallin, who is a former sky pirate, is like, okay, well, I know of a way you can get in, but you'll have to bring me a sunstone. So he's going to get a shade stone, say hello to Pinello. She is going to tag along with Vaughn for a bit and be useful later on in the run. And now we're going to see how many charges it takes to charge the shade stone once we find the kids who are out and missing and have it.
But first trials.
Oh,
Stage 1
yes.
has a very nice chest.
It's true. Yeah, so one thing that's added to the Zodiac Age version of this game is this mode called Trial Mode. This lets you basically take any save file that you have in the game and go into this group of trials from 1 to 100. Getting very progressively harder, but at the start, there's just some rats, the usual rat killing. This will let you...
And a very nice chest.
Yes.
Yeah, that diamond armlet sells for quite a lot of money. So it's a very nice infusion of gil early in the game.
Yeah, thankfully after every trial level, there's an autosave that is made. So you can just quit the menu, load that autosave back where you were, and you'll be right back where you were.
Speaking of quite a lot of money, do you mind if I pop in here with a quick update?
Go for it.
Of course.
Y'all, we are only $71 away from unlocking that blindfolded Gabarinth and Dr. Sid fight. Chat, you have really come through. Let me know when you have a little time for me to read to you some of the messages that chat's been sending your way.
All right. Actually, I only have one really quick thing to note here. So it's random how much you get from each of these charges. Ooh, very nice, 47. We actually have a small chance at a 2 crystal here, which is really fast. You can get anywhere from 25 to 55% from these crystals, and it's random. Pretty much the only thing you hope is that you don't get a 4 crystal, which is the least likely outcome. 3 crystal is by far the most likely, and then a 2 crystal is actually slightly more likely than a 4 crystal. But yeah, go ahead.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We have some great donations coming in from the previous runner. We have a $65 donation from Leggy Star Scream, who says, donating for Esper Health, plus $2 to get me in the running for that DS Lite. Thanks again to RPGLB for letting me hang out again. Looking forward to all the other awesome runs from all the other awesome runners. Leggy, that was a fantastic run. Thank you so much for that donation. A few other of the Esper donations. We had a $63 donation from Demarine, who says, we made it through, 163 HP. Not bad, not bad. The secret of Veronis is play this game. It was definitely a fun-looking game. Got time for a couple more?
Sure.
We also had a $63 donation from Inven, who says, as promised, $1 for every Esper over 100. GG, Leggy, and thanks for letting me be a part of your run. Thank you so much for that donation, Inven.
All right. So
But
here...
don't worry. Oh, go ahead.
No, keep going. That's fine.
No, you're fine. I was just saying, don't worry, it's not all about the last game, because we had a $10 donation from Bale Nocturno, who says, hey, Bale here. Sadly, work is getting in my way of watching the FF12 run, but I can at least donate to support Madelon. Heart. Hope the run goes well, and remember, you might be able to solve RNG problems if you use advanced cat science. Smiley face.
Yeah. So
We'll see if we see the kitty today.
Yeah, there's also we have solved the RNG in the base versions of the game, the console versions, actually every single console version, and we know how to do it on PC, but it requires memory watch, and that's a thing that we just aren't willing to allow. So PC runs are kind of the most interesting, meaning that you can't go and manipulate a ridiculously powerful weapon. But you saw there the diamond armlet was sold, and some potions for healing were bought, along with the spell Dark, which is an area of effect spell that is going to be used to pretty significant effect at a few places during the run. And what was the other thing? Anyway.
Bullets for much later.
Yes.
And now that we have the Crescent Stone, continuing in the story here, we can sneak our way, or somewhat stealthily here, into the palace and figure out what's going on, perhaps get some rating of a particular treasure room, and kickstart our story. But first, you gotta climb some steps. Always get your steps in.
Let's hope you get a nice hay bucket head.
Indeed. That always blesses
Pray
the
for
run.
the triple bucket head.
I've never seen it. I hope it happens.
It does exist.
So that elixir chest in the original version would have despawned the Zodiac spear, but we also would have got it in a speedrun anyway, unless you're doing Order of Ambrosia, because the elixir is more useful for the any percent PS2 run. But on TZA, there is not that Zodiac spear in the game to begin with. You have to get it elsewhere. And yeah, it's just one of those funny things that annoyed people.
Hey,
There's one.
Got to hear it in Japanese today. But yeah, the ETN elixir is because on low level we have not a lot of MP, so it's really nice to have items that can refresh our MP to make sure we can cast our spells.
That's
There's
two.
two.
We can actually get the triple. You cannot do the same
Aw.
words twice in a row, so you get 3 chances, or basically 3 chances. Oh. Well, we got 2. That's still blessed, honestly. Yeah, for some reason this crest opens a secret hallway. It's probably technically explained, but I've forgotten the explanation long ago.
Basically, the item we got there is just a key that opens it. Like, Dallin had it, but it didn't have the magical charge, is essentially what it works out to be. But now we're about to be in the treasure room, and Vaughn is going to get the goddess's nethicite, and that is going to kickstart the plot, along with running into a couple other thieves there.
Turns out we're not the only ones attempting to raid the palace in the confusion. But first, once again, this palace has lots of stairs. That's one of those like areas that I am not sure why it ever existed. It's literally just a room. You go up some stairs, and then a cutscene happens.
Now we get our Gambit tutorial. This one we can't quite skip, unfortunately, but it's the shorter of the tutorials by far, so it's not a big deal. Gambits are things that your characters will do automatically so you don't have to queue up every single action. And the way this game functions, they are very useful. And while it takes time to set your gambits to a certain thing, it can definitely save time and usually also make the fight much easier to win. There's a fair amount you can do on completely active ATB without gambits, especially in the original version because it runs slower, but gambits are going to be used throughout this run just to do what you want to do.
yeah, gambits are basically setting the AI for your partners and for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And right now we're setting some gambits to prioritize certain attacks, use the cure spell, or potions rather, on people who need healing. And you can see that the 2 other characters, Balthier and Fran, the leading man, and Viera, have come in 1 level higher than Vaughn. So the levels that each character comes in at are dependent on Vaughn's level. Since Vaughn will never get beyond level 1, they will come in at their lowest possible levels. Balthier and Fran will be level 2 here, and then later on, the other 3 characters will come in at level 3. So we call the low-level category in vanilla Final Fantasy XII 12223 or 12233%, because we have to have a percent on there. It's speedrunning, right?
Exactly.
Shh, don't let certain people hear you call it that.
A percent should be at the end of every category, in my opinion. Ooh, hot take.
Yeah, the rats on the way were for license points. You don't get experience for it, obviously.
Yep, just it's a
Just
lot of
mowing down some guards.
And now we are joined by a guest character. There will be guest characters periodically throughout the course of the run. This one is Amalia. She has a sword that does pretty decent damage. She can use potions. And now we're going to use that autosave there to do some trials.
Yeah, now that we have a healer to help us do them.
Is this one mostly for LP, or is there an item a bit further in you as well?
Well, it does give another diamond armlet, but it's mostly LP indeed.
Yeah, getting more LP can help alleviate a fair number of the things that are that will hold you back a little bit at low level. So it's very useful to get more LP, and getting them in the first few trials is very quick. So right now we are picking jobs for our characters. We will get a second license board for them once we beat Elias a little ways into the run.
Yeah, this is our first time seeing the license board since we got to skip the tutorial. So the license board lets you assign points that you gain after battle of killing things is to either augments, which increase your stats, or to ability to equip certain items or use certain magics, etc., etc. They also can give you extra gambit slots so you can do more things with your characters.
So that's actually Thextera, the one hunt that we're going to be killing again later. Here we're going to be not attempting to steal. Okay, that's fine. But the dark spell, you can see, is doing work. It is killing those masses of enemies really quickly.
Yeah, it's why we choose Red Battle Mage, because we immediately get dark that way.
And why do that at this specific point? Because the next few enemies here, which is kind of like a boss or a pseudo-boss, the Flans, are going to be very resistant to physical damage, but not to the spells. So using the AoE dark spell here makes short work of them. Also, one of the ways to regenerate your MP is running around. So running around in circles is sometimes a thing that you will see. Because we don't have much MP.
Spin. Yeah, gotta spin me right round, baby, right round. Yeah.
You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round, round, round.
And there are also, interestingly, certain areas in the game where you will actually gain more MP for running around.
Indeed. There are terrain effects, for example. So Fire Main here takes more damage in the water. So one of the first things you do is drag it into the water. You're basically guaranteed, unless you... Okay. Basically guaranteed to get at least one of those bushfires.
Probably getting a second. Yep. So we got healed
Yeah,
up.
Spite can get tricky on New Game Minus. Okay.
Yeah. I assume.
Very scary.
Yeah.
It's odd because the earlier bosses, typically in low-level runs, are actually scarier because we're not equipped. Or not nearly as well equipped. So.
Yeah, equipment is going to be vital to this run.
Definitely.
Especially guns.
Mm-hmm.
Especially guns.
We'll get into that once we start using our guns more, though.
Oh, the leading man just starts with the best weapon, so...
Well, the best weapon type.
Speaking of the leading man, do you mind if I cut in with a quick donation?
Go for it.
I have a $25 donation here from Fall Gem who says, "Good luck leading woman. I think someone noticed your cosplay."
Yes.
I also have a $30 donation here from Nikosar who says, "Good luck, Madelon. It's a treat seeing NG- in action on a marathon stream. Please put this towards the blindfolded Sid fight. And just as a reminder, chat, you can get in on that. We are so close to hitting it, just $71 away. That's not that much. We can do that easily. You could be the one to snipe it in a single donation. But remember, all of your donations go directly towards NAMI. Every single dollar goes and makes a huge difference. So type !donate in the chat right now and get information on how to donate.
I guess just for a quick story update here, we killed that fireman that was in the sewers there and popped out and immediately got arrested. To get out of prison, we fought a few goons for fun and are now trying to make our escape out through the Barheim Passage, which is an old underground mining facility. And then we get one of our first gimmicks of the run, which is the charge system. There's only so much charge left in these mines, and especially with certain mimics. The old classic chest that turned into enemies exists here as well. And they're sucking the power out of the walls. So we gotta kind of run through. In the vanilla, you will usually try to kill some of them that are sucking the electricity out, like we're doing right here, which will bring the charge back up. Because you do need charge in order to open a door later on here.
Yes, additionally you have Bosch as a guest right now. He will join the party in a little bit, and one of the big points of drama is that Vaughn thinks Bosch killed both the king and Vaughn's brother.
Here's that aforementioned switch. See charge kind of drop down by 30 here. But now we don't need any more.
Yeah, I like to keep the charge a little bit high because this area gets dangerous if the charge is low and we're low level.
It's true. Once it gets low enough, zombies and ghosts starts popping up, and they do quite a bit more damage.
Yeah, zombies or skeletons at 50%, and then at 30%, all of them can start spawning. It depends on the area, which ones spawn.
Save crystals are always handy to get your health back up
Yep.
and your MP.
Yep. Save crystals in this game give you a full refresh on everything. HP, MP, and status. Coming up here, we have the Mimic Queen. Once again, since we're still pretty low level without good armor, we'll probably do a bit of a special setup to make sure we can get through. Mimic Queen does a large AoE called... Oh, I'm just...
Shockstorm.
Shockstorm, thank you. That can hit pretty hard.
Does 2 AoEs.
Yeah, does
I'm pretty sure.
Also has Earthshaker, but should die before then.
It's been so long since I've seen Earthshaker, I forgot it even existed.
I know, right?
But yeah, the diamond armlet gives thunder immunity, so it actually will be used for something other than money right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because this boss deals mostly thunder damage.
Also shown at the start of this is one of the first instances of a very useful tactic in Final Fantasy XII. Whenever you return your party into... Basically, you can change your party out at any time as long as they're not being targeted by any enemy or ally. And if you bring them out, they will appear basically in front of where you're facing. So we use this a lot to keep them out of difficult situations. Like in this case, further away from all these little mimics and AoEs. And
Nice combo by Vaughn there at the end, though.
Yeah.
8 hits. When you combo...
Oh, wow. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, when you combo, if you're at lower health, those combos will be in longer in length. combo chance is the same, but you get more hits. It's still random exactly how many, but depending on how much health you have, you will get progressively more.
And one thing I did not mention was we did run into someone called Bosch, who was part of some fight that happened that we skipped at the start of the run. But basically, this little township called Dalmasca is stuck in a war between two warring factions, and they were in a battle because what I believe was the Princess Ash was about to be married, and that was interrupted by the Galbadian forces, of which we will see a lot of here soon. And they've kind of taken over Dalmasca for now.
Yeah, the Arcadian Empire is the big menace right now.
No, true, Arcadian.
And Nabradia was going to be allied with Rabanastre through that marriage, partly in an attempt to kind of protect themselves against Arcades.
Did I just mix in some of Final Fantasy VIII into my Final Fantasy XII?
So now we have the Sword of the Order. We're going to take that to Bosch. And he will be recruited at Vaughn's level +2, so level 3.
Which I think is one lower than what he just was. I think he's level 4.
I believe you're correct.
When you have him in Bahrain. So he levels down.
Yeah, and interestingly, Penelo at the start you get at Vaughn's level, but you lose her for a bit. She gets captured, and when you get her back, she's raised by 2 levels, or to the 2 levels above what you are at the time, which in this case is just 2 levels. So technically, the only person that gains experience in this game, in this run, is Penelo.
So now I'm going to go in here, get Balthier and Fran back, then going to accept the Thextera fight.
Yeah, because we can get decoy anyway, but for oil we need better standing with the clan.
Yeah, you get a clan rank for each, maybe not each hunt, but for a certain threshold of hunts killed.
Yeah, there are various thresholds that you need to meet. So like total number and power of monsters killed, for example, is one of the other ones. It takes quite a bit to be gated by that, because even just killing the things that you need to kill just to progress through the story and such, you're going to get a reasonable amount of that. But if you kind of obsessively don't kill anything for a while, I could see that happening, I guess.
Especially at the higher ranks, yeah. You could just kind of rush things. But even in the longer run where the goal is to get to the highest clan rank, I've never seen that be an issue.
No, you just grinding levels, you kill so many things that it's nowhere near an issue.
By the way, Thextera went down so easy. We totally talked right over it.
Yeah, it was the second time we killed Thextera, though, too, because Thextera is the second fight in Trials. And Thextera is going to die more.
Unfortunately, that Thextera does not count for the hunt.
Nope.
We could have just told poor Gatsley that we've already killed a Thextera.
We just had to kill this one, specifically.
So as mentioned before, Penelo has gotten kidnapped to the city of Bujerba. We're chasing some old nemeses of ours, Bagamnon and friends.
Yeah, so we know they kidnapped Pinello. What we don't know is that they let her go. This is just a trap to try to catch Balthier. And Balthier kind of knows it's a trap, but at the same time, he's like, we have to save the girl because he's the leading man. And a sky pirate of taste and refinement.
Just a general overall good guy. So we're just doing a quick jaunt up and down this mine.
It's pretty much just running.
It's exclusively just running.
Yeah.
Except for the very
With
original...
battle speed on slowest. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I guess we haven't gone through that yet. The battle speed in this game mostly affects how fast the ATP charges, as in most Final Fantasy games. But it obviously doesn't affect how fast people move or like animation speeds or anything like that.
Yeah, and you might think, oh, playing on really low battle speed later on can like make the game really easy. No, because all the animations take the same amount of time, and as you fight stronger and stronger enemies, more and more of them get instant attacks, so they don't have to wait for their ATB to charge.
Yep. So now we've found Bagamnon, and we are now being chased out of the mines by Bagamnon and his crew. We don't actually have to kill them. It's not a proper boss fight like that. And they do give a decent amount of LP if you can, and we have used this in like the original version of this run.
Yeah.
You can abuse a mechanic.
Yeah, you can defeat his minions and then zone out before they are fully considered defeated by the game. But it tallies the LP when you defeat when you give the final hit. So they'll keep respawning at low HP and you can keep defeating them. But it's first, we don't have the setup for that in this at all. Second, trials are faster. And third, it's actually something that is stressful even on a low battle speed.
Yep. Now for everyone's favorite part of the run. Vaughn gets to run around and pretend he's Captain Bosch, who is not with us currently.
Don't listen to Ondor's lies. Going for a 2-shout here. The positioning is a little bit precise, as well as there being a tiny amount of randomness based on NPC movement.
The 2-shout.
That's it. Nice.
5 Boujardins.
Yes, I'm Captain Bosch from Ronsenburg of Dalmasca.
I'm Captain Bosch.
Bosch lives.
It's not pixel perfect to do a 2-shout, but it is pretty precise. So GG.
Yeah, it is very, very tight and very good job.
Yeah, it's the one point where I actually turn off the ×4 speed to get the position right.
Now we've gotten the Marquise's attention.
Yeah, and he's on the Rabadasner's side. He's not a fan of the Empire, but at the same time, he can only do so much to help. So pretty much what he's going to do is put us in a position where we get captured. So he looks good to the Empire, but we're pretty easily able to break out. And in fact, we break out before the person who's supposed to help us break out joins us in these cutscenes, which is kind of funny. But now we're on the Leviathan. This is a one-time area. We have Vossler, who is level 6. And this is not for MP, because our MP is already full. This is for an ability that Vossler has called Traveler. Now, Traveler is damage in AoE based on how many steps you've taken either since the start of the game or since its last use. And at 990 through 999 steps, it deals 9,000 plus damage. We don't need that much. We don't need to deal that much damage to these judges that we're going to use it against here. What we need instead is just to get in a decent range of a multiplier that is going to defeat them in one go. So that running around was to make sure that happens. But the 9,000 plus damage is used a few times in the PS2 version.
Yeah, we'll be showing more of Traveler here as well, but this first one is not like the perfect 10-step range quite yet. Do need to hit both of the judges.
Nice.
And this is the only congratulations screen that you cannot skip.
Mm-hmm. At least in the any percent type runs.
Right.
Are there others? I can't think of any others.
I want to say there's one more.
Yeah, I think there is one more somewhere. I just can't remember where.
Neither can I.
But it gives this is the kind of the chance for the game to give you the traditional fanfare that you don't really get with most fights since it's not in a separate area.
So here there is a shop, and there is our next character, Ash, because she is not in fact dead. She was pretending to be Amalia earlier, but now we know she is actually Princess Ash, and she is going to join the party. We are here to rescue her.
What a twist that no one saw coming.
Especially if you actually watch the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Secret princesses in a Final Fantasy game?
I know, right?
Nani?
Never happened. One other addition, talking about the license board, I don't think we actually specified this, is that there is 12 different jobs that have separate license boards. I know we mentioned we get a second one later, but yeah. So you probably did mention that.
Yeah, a couple things to note here. Zoomed out, you move around the license board a little bit quicker because it doesn't have to scroll around as often. So that is a technique to save a small amount of time that adds up over the course of the run. Ash has been put into a class that uses samurai swords. Those aren't necessarily the important part about why she is in that class, but we don't need to go over that quite yet. Meanwhile, Fran and Bosch were both put into the machinist class, which uses guns. And guns are going to be used for a very significant number of the fights in this game because they do not account for your level in their damage formula. They're one of the only a few weapon types in the game that do that, and they're the only one of those weapon types that is really any good at dealing damage. So why not Balthier? Because he has a special gun animation that takes longer, so he deals less DPS.
He's meant to be the one.
Yeah, ironically, Balthier is the least gunner.
Yep.
Yeah, any ranged weapon actually he is slower with. And Fran is slower with bows, which is her supposed weapon of choice. So it's kind of funny like that. Now we have Pinello back. Larsa Solidor, who was with us during that run through the mines for a little bit under an assumed name, an alias, has reunited us. And now we also have the manufactured Nethicite.
And here we'll also get to see another mechanic that we'll abuse a little bit called reflecting AoE magics off of your own party. We'll multiply that onto a single enemy. So instead of getting one cast of an AoE on an enemy, you get 3 or 4 sometimes when you have a guest party member.
Fun fact, during that fight, Geese likes to cast Arrow, and he can kill himself.
He did.
Oh no!
So that is annoying, but not the end of the world. Basically what happened there is every party member lost, I think it's 22 or 25 LP, I forget which, for geese. I want to say it's 25. And that just means we'll have to make up that LP either in trials or by killing some other random enemies somewhere.
It mostly means delaying some licenses you would have liked to get earlier at various points.
But yeah,
It's not a big deal. It happens often enough that you have to know what to do if you do this run.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, I'd imagine it happens more often in the sped up version because there's a pretty easy way to manipulate the fight in the PS2 version, but the time taken to set that up isn't really worth it when you are going at 4 times speed.
Yeah, I imagine it's pretty caution to the wind, comparatively.
If you can do it quick, you do it quick.
I don't know. I have motion sickness, so I like my slower movement, actually.
That's fair. Give me a nice, cozy 22-hour run.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's how long the Order of Ambrosia run is, basically. It is very long.
I say, what is the record now? It's like just over 20?
21 something. Yeah.
21.
Yeah, it's like low 21.
Zero is a amazing speedrunner.
Yeah, shoutouts to Zero Scar.
Yep, he has both couch for me and run this at other marathons.
Yeah, he ran this off-site, the PS2 version, a couple years back, in fact.
It's true, he ran it for this marathon.
Also, we've picked up both the Golden Amulet chest and now the Reflect chest. So the Reflect chest is so that we can do this trick more often, that we cast Reflect on the whole party and have spells reflected back to the enemy, what was discussed earlier. And the Golden Amulet doubles LP for the person wearing the amulet.
Very useful.
Yep.
Takes a bit of LP to get to it, but that is okay. It pays itself off.
And in this version, the chests and I guess not enemies as much, but chests especially drop different items than they do in the original version, including magics.
Indeed.
And this is this golden amulet is earlier than you can get one in the original version, which is nice.
Yeah, by a pretty
By a
decent
lot,
bit.
too.
Yeah.
By a good amount, yeah.
Yeah, by the entire next dungeon, not to mention the run to it, and another running segment that then you can get it randomly, but then you have to do another dungeon before you can buy it.
Yep.
Do you mind if I ask a quick question here?
Sure.
Madelon, how long do we have before we have to cut off that blindfolded Gabrath and Dr. Sid incentive?
It's close to the 3-hour mark of the run. A bit earlier if I'm fast.
Okay, so you heard them, chat. You've got a little bit of time to get your donations in, but make sure when you're donating, !donate in chat if you don't know how, scroll all the way down to the bottom, click that add incentive button so that we can get that blindfolded Gabrath and Dr. Sid fight in, because that is definitely something we want to see. One person who donated towards that, we had a $10 donation from Games Stetson, who says, Balthier's sultry tones can carry us to a blindfolded Sid run. Let the late night shenanigans continue. Thank you so much for that donation.
So, this Garuda is weak to dark magic.
But it's also weak to Traveler.
It is also weak to travel.
Yeah, I set it up on the way already.
Yeah. Was that a 10-step window or a
Yeah, that's a 10-step window. So, like, it resets every 1,000 steps, but directly before the 10 steps before the next reset is when you do the most damage. So I remembered that it's 149 is now the step count at which I used it on Garuda, which I can see in the menu, and I'm still running some laps to make sure I have it set up properly for the next boss fight where we use it again.
That's the fun thing about Traveler strategy. You just get to explore the area and or do some exercise.
Yeah, as you can see, since we have Vossler back, we are definitely taking advantage of that fact.
But yeah, I deliberately used Traveler on the way towards Garuda, where I saw that I used it at 155. Then at Garuda, I did it at 149 as the last 3 digits of the step count, which is indeed like 1 to 7 steps lower to the next reset.
Yep, this first, we get 2 demon walls coming over here. We skip the first one, but then the second one traps us against the door on the other side.
Yeah, the second one is weaker and has a much longer track, as it were.
Yep. Yeah, you're meant to run from the first one, though you definitely don't have to.
It would take a bit more setup to kill the first one in a low-level game, though, so it's not worth it. You get 27 LP and some stuff from the clan hall, but all of that stuff can be acquired faster, especially because of trials.
This one has just a bit more HP than Traveler can do, but a couple more hits and it's easy.
You could one-hit it
Yeah.
if you ran a lot more laps, but we just needed to do enough.
That was a
That's
10.
not exactly how it works. Like, this was the 10-step window where you did the best damage with Traveler.
Oh, okay.
It just can't fully deal all the damage of the demon wall. But that's fine, and you only have the little bit left that you just do by hitting it.
Poke it with the sharp end and you're good.
Five, 4, 5. It's again setting up Traveler. Last time, this time.
Yeah.
For Belias, I'm
Yes.
assuming?
Yep.
Belias is rather difficult to kill in a low-level run without some sort of significant damage source like Traveler.
Yep. Then after the lies, we get access to some better weapons. Or just more reflect magic. Forget the exact.
Both.
Then we start reflecting magic mode. Yeah.
Yeah. Things start having too much HP for Traveler to one-shot, unfortunately.
I mean, also, you lose Vossler.
Also, you lose Voss.
And Vossler is the one that actually
Oh,
uses Traveler.
He doesn't impart the knowledge of
a
Traveler.
minor detail.
Minor detail.
Yeah, I mean, technically you could learn it with other characters, but we just have a guest that does it.
Yeah, and you'd also have to buy it to use it with other characters.
That's true, and that's like 7,000 gil or so.
It's a strong or expensive one.
Yeah.
Very strong.
6,700 gil, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those areas where you can actually run around to get more magic if we weren't already full.
Yeah, this area has dense mist, which means that you have triple MP regen, whatever the source is.
Oh, that applies to ethers and all that too?
Or except for items. Any other source.
Okay.
My bad.
I was about to be poggies about that.
Yeah, there's also items called motes that give you a one-shot use of magic. And some of them are quite strong. Like you saw us use a Reflectica mote for quick reflex on everyone earlier. That was a shock mote, which is a pretty strong single target ability.
Yeah, also we throw Phoenix downs at Belize because apparently he gets angry if he do that.
Yeah.
And then he only attacks Ash.
Yeah, the system where how to make things target certain people is very
It's
interesting
complicated.
and complicated. Yeah. It's something that got figured out and explained, and I'm not sure everyone understands it even to this day. I mean, I do, but it's a lot.
Yeah, there are certain cases where you can abuse it really easily, and others where certain setups won't allow it to be abused as easily.
Whoops.
A little bit more LP lost on Ash. Is she the one with the amulet on, or is she not doing it on yet?
It's not on yet, but yeah.
Just
Well,
a couple
we'll deal with
extra
it.
trials, it'll be fine.
Yeah, worst case is extra trials.
Yeah, making sure everyone hits certain LP thresholds can be sometimes difficult on these early fights, especially where things like geese and a random death at the end can happen. It's nice to know that's something that is carried over from the original runs.
Mhm.
The true FF12 spirit.
So now that we have killed Belias, we have access to the second license board, as mentioned before.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why we're picking certain classes, one of the important things that is going to come up is swiftnesses, especially for the gunners. The gun's ATB charges really slow, and the slower an ATB charges for an ability or attack, the more effect that the swiftness lures have on that ATB charge rate. So getting extra swiftnesses greatly increases your DPS and also allows you to get, as a result, faster, safer kills, use fewer healing items, and so on. Now we have the Dawn
Also,
Shard.
I got Belias on Balfir, which will be used in the next fight. And Penelo got the licenses to get the golden amulet, so she now gets the double license points. Like, licenses go to all characters regardless of whether they actually take part in the fight.
As long as they're still conscious.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically in the old PS2 run, you would only summon... Ooh, Kitty. Hi, Kitty. You'd only summon... You would only summon Belias the one time in a story-required position, but in a lower-level run, they have a lot of HP and can do some good things.
Yeah, specifically on this fight, because Vossler will just only attack Belias. So Belias will be the perfect shield. Not against the soldiers, though, so I need to be careful with that.
Usually there's a little bit longer of a summon animation there, but you can skip it in the Zodiac Age.
Yeah, so
Oh yeah, you can take control of the Espers. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Also do that. That is something new to the Zodiac Age as well.
Yeah, you take control, and Fire Eyes faster than Pain Flare.
in the original version, Vossler likes to reflect himself. But fortunately here...
8-hit combo on Belias got me.
Yeah, Vossler can combo quite a bit, but if all the hits are 0 damage...
Doesn't
Like,
exactly
Vossler
matter.
only hits Belias and deals 0 damage.
Yep.
So that's why Belias works quite well for this fight. This is the one fight where we use a summon.
Here's the aforementioned clan provisioner. Lets us buy decoy and oil.
Yeah, you don't actually have to turn in the Thixera fight to get the other rewards for completing it, the clan rank, which that's what we care about. Thixera's rewards for turning it in actually aren't that great, so who cares?
A couple hundred gil, yeah.
It's like a couple hundred gil, a couple potions and or antidotes, that's about it.
Yeah, it can maybe be good to explain why decoy is so important and so good for this run.
Oh yeah, so decoy makes enemies, most enemies are susceptible to it to at least some degree, target a specific character. And we're not really going to be facing any that ignore decoy. So when you can manipulate an enemy into attacking a certain character, that means that you can have other characters not taking damage. And that's really important. So we are going to have basically a tank and 2 damage dealers set up throughout pretty much the entire course of the run. Now, some of that is going to be with guns, some of that is going to be with reflected magic, but the principle is more or less the same.
Yep. And I would like to point out that running on turbo on 4x speed with a chocobo is not nearly as easy as Madelon made it seem.
No.
It's no.
Yeah, that's the trickiest part in terms of movement.
Yeah, I played this game way too much, and I cannot do. I just run into walls when I try to 4x chocobo through that section. It's a lot of tight corners and hidden walls almost.
The cat brought good luck.
Yeah, cat's here for the cat magic.
Do we have a bit of time for a few messages?
Sure, this is just an exposition fest here.
Absolutely. I hear exposition. What I really hear is let's hear from the chat. And chat did want to chime in. I know this is a little bit late now, but Captain Awesome donated $5 and says, since the game's language is Japanese, I guess I'll have to do it myself. I'm Captain Bosch von Rosenberg of Dalmasca. Don't listen to Ondor's lies. Bosch lives. Good luck on the rest of the run, Madelon. Show them all who the real lead character is. And just as a reminder, folks, we are getting really close to that blindfold incentive. So when you donate, !donate in chat to find out how. Don't forget to scroll down to the bottom and click on that add incentive button and select the blindfold boss fight incentive. Y'all, we are so close to hitting it. And I've seen some donations come in that weren't going towards that incentive or any incentive. So make sure you're adding to the incentives. It doesn't cost anything extra. Plus, you get more shenanigans out of RPG Limit Break, and you're donating to a great cause. So it's a 3-fer. You're definitely getting your money's worth out of that one.
Cheapest chocobo in the game here, 30 gil.
Did you get a free one for the first one too?
Yep. Gertie's a hustler. She knows when to sell chocobos at exorbitant prices.
Yeah.
Gertie is still best girl, though. I will argue it.
There's been a new entrant into the war.
Gertie rhymes with birdie, and she sells chocobos. Is that anything?
Surely not a coincidence.
She has a twin brother named Hurdy.
And chocobos travel in herds. This conspiracy goes deep.
You know,
You got it.
I never thought of that.
We have figured out the Moogle conspiracy.
I've connected the 2 dots.
All right, so now we are at Aerate Village, and this is where the Viera live. Fran is not going to be received well because she left, and they're supposed to stay and be one with the wood. Meanwhile, a bunch of shopping here. We got fair amount of stuff there that was worth decent gil. Sold it all and got what we needed, including a couple spells, some equipment, and so on.
Staves in this game are honestly generally not super useful, except for 3 staves that boost elemental magic by, I think, 50%, if not double. Well,
There are more. They boost it by 50%, and then there are augments that can boost it more. Focus can boost, Serenity. Focus and Serenity for physical and magical, respectively, boosted by 20%. And then if you're at low HP, the Adrenaline and Spellbreaker augments double the damage.
Yep. So stacking those on top of each other can add up fast.
Indeed. Especially when you account for enemy weaknesses and sometimes even terrain or other such effects, because this game has a ton of stuff like that.
There's a lot of weird hidden mechanics in this game, yeah.
90% of the time, it's not going to matter to you. But if you know that, you can take advantage of it.
Like, and some of it's just completely random based on what the weather is outside. Like, it's just, which is also
literally,
random. Yeah, which is also random.
At least in some
At
places.
least, some places.
There's a certain enemy, Gigantoad, that you have to fight in OOA, and the strat is to reflect fire on it, but if it's raining out, you actually do less damage because rain makes fire weaker. You know, just one of those little examples of how this game is way too detailed for its own good.
But I like that about
You know, Oh yeah, it's lovely, but darn.
And even sometimes standing in things like we mentioned in the fire main fight, standing in the water help both do more damage. I believe you take less damage from bushfire in it as well.
because that terrain effect, the water does dampen fire damage.
07 to that Dextera as well.
Dextera is now a pretty easy one.
Running out there to get the extra 7 LP from that ripe rampager that likes to spawn in that area.
I also saw bubble mode. I don't know if that's a drop or a chest, but
That's a drop.
it is a drop.
Or there's also a chest, but I get it from drops here.
Yeah, haste mode, nice. Those are useful.
Yeah, Panello is set up as a Vandara casting mage with the storm staff, dealing most of the damage right now. And soon we will have Ash join in with that as well. With Bafir set up to just steal in the hopes of getting like better items for money and such.
Kind of be the actual just leading man. They're there to take the hits and steal.
He actually has one of the best HP stats in the game. Not that it matters because we won't be leveling up.
Yeah, another semi-hidden mechanic is each character has stats that grow at different rates, sometimes unintuitively. And Vaughn, as the main character, of course, has the best stat gains of everybody, right?
He's actually a really good all-around character stat-wise.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, with these menus you can do this useful thing where if you activate licenses on one board, it's also activated on the other board, and that way you can get quicker on. Like you don't have to have all the licenses in between licenses for the other boards. If you can like get from your first board some good nice stuff. I can switch over the golden amulet to Ash now. Also, the armor I bought for both mages helps with their magic as well.
Yeah, mages' habits have a lot of mana on them.
Yeah, there's also some useful licenses like War Mage, which makes you get MP back when you deal damage is also helpful to get enough MP because we're low level, MP runs out fast, so we need some methods to make sure we still have MP for all our magic casting.
Yep, we'll do a bit more trial mode farming here. Still grabbing that diamond armlet because it's still worth 6,000 gil, which is quite a bit.
Yeah, this is the big license grind. This is the second set. We do 4 sets in total.
Is this the last bit of trial mode grinding in this run? Or is there more later on?
Yeah.
Nice. So enjoy your trial mode while we have it.
Yeah, but right now I should have enough for Ash that she can be set up as a mage as well. So we now can work with 2 mages, both Tandara, with Storm Staves to boost that. Headsman makes us get back MP when we defeat enemies. Magic Lore just boosts the magic damage.
A lot of these made a lot stronger by being low level, at least comparatively.
Mm-hmm. And there's Serenity, the 1.2 damage multiplier that I mentioned earlier. When you're at full HP at least.
Yep. Which, when you're doing a lot of damage, more enemies are more likely to attack you, which is where the decoy comes in.
Indeed. And one of the differences between PS2 and the TZA version is that because it takes a little bit of time to set up for the ×2 damage multiplier of Spellbreaker, focus for the gunners and Serenity for the casters are used much more frequently because all you have to do is be at max HP. That's no setup.
Yeah, a lot of times it's just not enough damage on the PS2 version.
Yeah, it prolongs the fight in terms of how many hits it takes, but not in terms of time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, having to set up over and over and over and over again would cost more time in TZA than it's worth.
Gang, is it all right if I pipe in here for a sec?
Sure.
Sure, it's a grinding section anyway.
Got a huge donation in from Crixley, who donates $500 to Nami. They only say cheers, but Crixley, cheers. Thank you so much for your donation. That makes a huge difference, and we definitely are appreciative of that huge donation. But chat, if you're thinking, I can't donate $500, good news. The minimum to donate is $1. I think you might be able to do $1, perhaps. Type in !donate in chat. Get your information in there. Scroll down to the bottom. Be sure to select add incentive when you're putting in that donation, because we would love to see that blindfolded Gabbard the Dr. Sid run a little bit later in this run. So let's make that happen.
We gotta see a fun use of the annul ability there, which removes all magic from who it's cast on, which is a very annoying ability, just in general in this game.
Indeed.
It's just one more set of trials after this, which I will do in Jahara.
Yeah, we're gonna space them out a little bit. It gives us a chance to do some license upgrades and make the future ones faster.
Yeah, we're coming back here in part because there's equipment and also in part because there is a chocobo here, and it's faster to get the chocobo than to go and find the wayward one that you would if you didn't teleport. So it's important to touch the Jahara crystal.
Yeah.
Rabanaster is the only save teleport location where it's unlocked by default. You have to touch the orange gate crystals in every single other one in order to be able to teleport to them.
Okay. think I saw that we have at least 2 bubble modes, so that's the minimum I need.
Yeah, Bubble is a status ability that doubles your HP. So you can equip an armor that gives you quite a bit of HP and then double that. Ooh. That's a fun attack.
Yeah, I guess I probably missed some LP there. I just see if I'm short and then I do extra trials if it's really needed. Going to be fine.
It'll be fine.
They very rarely do that.
Yeah, there's quite a few abilities in the original version that would be unable to be cast just purely by your team doing things, or vice versa. But in the Zodiac Age version, that limit is greatly increased because just the capabilities of hardware is higher.
Mm-hmm. And that Mangosh is a dagger that gives a great deal of evasion. So that is very nice to have on the tank. While there are enemies later in the game that will ignore evasion, for pretty much everything else, it's going to mean fewer attacks will hit.
And we're just loading up on some hit points for the aforementioned bubble, as well as another augment called Spellbound, which increases the time that positive status effects are affected on you. Most notably in this case, Decoy, because Decoy is a very short...
Decoy is negative.
Oh, Decoy is a negative. Never mind, it doesn't even affect Decoy. But things like Protect and Shell. Yeah.
Yeah, Balfir will be the tank with this extra HP, and then did the main gosh for blocking.
Mm-hmm.
Van is the designated reflect cast. Or
no, Decoy does count. I was getting mixed up with Reverse. Reverse is used for some tanking strats in certain fights.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't mind me.
I thought it was possible.
It's 4 a.m. in the morning here.
It is indeed that. I managed to sneak in a couple hour nap.
Here. And there's Madelon with, 11 or 12 or something. Some nice time for her.
yeah, it's 12 right now here. It's perfectly fine.
Would it be okay if I pipe in for a moment?
Sure.
Of course.
With it being 4 a.m., I think we're all in need of a little bit of a pick-me-up, at least those of us here in the United States time zones. So to that end, Dragon Roast Coffee has been an amazing partner here who is helping us to raise money for NAMI. Dragon Roast Coffee is a small, passionate team of coffee roasters that are dedicated to making coffee for gamers and the gaming community. Visit their website at www.dragonroast.coffee and enter the promo code RPGLB25 at checkout for 10% off of your order. And in addition to their coffee, you can also purchase an exclusive dual-insulated RPG Limit Break tumbler available only for this event. And the best part is that for all the purchases made using that promo code, Dragon Roast will donate a portion of the proceeds to NAMI. So what are you waiting for? Get out there and fuel your adventure with Dragon Roast Coffee today.
How did we end up on LP?
At least for now I have enough LP. So it should be fine. Also, Larsa actually knows the bubble spell, so I will actually use that to have him cast bubble on the tank for as long as we have him.
Yeah, the movesets are a bit expanded in this version compared to the original, and you can directly control them and change their gambits. So things like Traveler on Vossler and Bubble on Larsa were not available in it originally.
Yeah. Ash is next to one of our mage damage dealers, also the one that will cast decoy on the tank. And I also bought some Nukai Sense in case I get confused in the next section coming up.
Yeah, decoy is a status effect that for some reason has a hit chance based on, I believe it's magic minus vitality of who you're casting it on. But Serenity does increase that chance.
Yes, if Serenity or Spellbreaker are active, the chances are doubled. Or is it just a flat plus 50%? I forget which. It's been a while since I've looked at the mechanics.
You know it's doubled for Spellbreaker. I forget if it's that or 1.2.
They're
as
the
well,
same.
or-
They're the same.
They are the same. Okay. It's probably double then.
Yeah, that was a bit of the long menu of the run because it's directly after getting all the licenses.
And yeah, those gambits took a while to set up, but there will be relatively little maintenance on them throughout the rest of the run because they're mostly set up now.
And when you're moving at 4 times speed, the more time you spend in gambits, the more time you lose. Or more time you spend changing gambits, I should say. So now you see, despite being at level 2, Balthier has a pretty comfortable over 2,000 HP here with Bubble.
Yeah, the extra licenses for HP plus the bubble really help.
Plus, the looks like the Dawn Shard is also equipped, limiting Balthier to 0 MP, but adding quite a bit of magic defense.
Yeah, these bats are rather annoying. As you can see, Balthier got poisoned immediately. Poison may have been reapplied once or twice already. And yeah, just running through here. And now we get to see if you have the if you're a subbed to our channel, we have right here the RPG Dino.
The dinos, there's a pair of them, and they are more than willing to kill you in your run.
Yeah, so they have this, like in addition to just being able to deal a fair amount of damage to you, they have this ability called Sonic Fangs, which just has a flat 5% chance to one-hit KO you. That chance is cut in half if you have Shell up, but as you can see, we are not running with Shell. Poor Larsa. That shriek in Japanese.
But yeah, the jelly grind. This is mostly for money, but we also get teleport stones for it, which we need for a few times that we need to use those teleport crystals. No.
Oh, body blocking. The dinos have a very big hitbox as well, so it's fine. It's enough HP.
Yeah, that we did that for the Hitchhiker Guide fans in the audience. That's it. Totally.
Yeah. Was it actually?
It was 42, yeah.
Nice. So the drop system in this game, and the chain drop system in this game, is a very also kind of hidden mechanic. Basically, there's 3 levels of chain upgrade that increase the chances of rare things and that the 3 levels increase the chance of rare things happening. The length of the chain is what increases the amount of things that can drop from each tier. So,
and not picking up drops means that the chain will go up quicker because each drop you pick up lowers the chance of the next chain level being hit. Basically, the way it works is there's a counter, and there's each kill raises that counter. Each drop you pick up lowers it, There's a certain threshold that you're guaranteed to get each chain level, but it takes a long time to get to there. So in order to get to chain level 2, you start at 0, then you go to 1, and then 2 is where we are at right now. You basically just kill that entire first room without picking up any drops, and you pretty much always get it.
Yeah, that's fine. The dino didn't get too in the way this time. Also importantly, if you kill anything else or touch a save crystal, you will lose your chain level.
Indeed. Also going into certain areas like towns where you are not able to use your abilities.
It's why the dinos are so scary, because if you get killed with the dinos, it's usually the mages start casting things and you kill bats and you lose your chain. Because otherwise, getting killed is not that bad. We have autosave, but you lose your chain.
Yeah, this is something that it just provides so many good, useful things. Other than XP in this because it's low level, but in most runs they give a decent amount of XP, normal amounts of license points, but their drops are the uncommon drop gives a lot of money, like 600 per drop. The rare drop is, I believe, the teleport stones, which we want for being able to get around. And then the very rare drop is Float Mode, which lets you cast the float ability, which lets you float over traps, of which there are some that are very much in the way.
Additionally, you are immune to earth damage.
It's true.
Element.
Yeah, float also makes you immune to element.
It is very true.
For one specific fight, that's very useful, at least in the run.
Yeah, I do
What's
believe.
his name?
Yeah, I do believe it. Hashmal, yeah, I do believe it is used in the new game minus, although in new game or regular runs where you level up in TZA, it is not strictly necessary because you are able to kill it faster thanks to no damage cap at 9,999 damage.
I don't remember if we explained this yet, but one reason we're running kind of a full zone past where we're doing is that actually is what causes the enemies to fully respawn. So if we just killed these...
Yeah, you have to go... Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think it's you have to go 2 zones away for enemies to respawn, and 3 away for chests, I think?
It's 1 in TZA.
I think, yeah. TZ
Oh, well.
faster.
But yeah, 3 in the original.
I believe there's a lot less chests that respawn in TZA, though, so...
Yeah, we don't really rely on chests except the ones that are guaranteed to spawn, pretty much.
Since we're on the license board here, can I pop in with a donation?
Sure.
I have a $50 donation here from Dowolf, who says, "Where is the donate ability on the license board? Asking for a friend." Dowolf, thank you so much for that donation. And just as an update, we're only $21 away from unlocking that blindfolded Gabrath and Dr. Sid fight towards the end of this run. So make sure when you're donating, scroll down to the bottom, click on that add incentive button. It does not add anything to how much you're planning on donating. So costs you nothing. Put it in there. It's a twofer.
Donate sounds like a technique to me.
I mean, guild toss.
It
We're
does.
donating to the enemies.
Exactly.
Very aggressively.
Yeah, guild toss, yeah.
I've definitely used that just for fun at the end of Order of Ambrosia runs before.
You start throwing that at Undying and just
I think I almost died because of that one time. Even though we're way over level.
I died an hour ahead of PB pace trying to do final eclipse on Undying.
Oh, God.
Totally worth it.
Final Eclipse
And,
is... Final Eclipse, by the way, is Summon's final ability. For those who don't know.
Also a dangerous boss right now, especially as Tiamat has a chance to cast Disable Ga. But I also need to pay attention to breath, because on the one hand I want my party close together so they get all the reflect casts, but I want breath to not hit the other characters, if possible. They did hit the other characters.
Just Larsa.
Yeah, that's not good.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But Larsa is the healer in this fight, so
Yeah.
that's kind of important. Sometimes you can make it through, but Tiamat does a lot of damage when it gets low on health because it has a pretty high combo chance. And again, you do long combos when you're low on health. That goes for enemies too.
Yeah. Importantly, we can't actually use the heal ability from Larsa, and that's because of the reflect. We don't want to reflect.
Indeed. You would be healing Tiamat instead.
Which no one wants that.
I mean, Tiamat might want that.
True.
Yeah, well, you know, she's evil. We don't wanna help her out here.
But yeah, the positioning gets tricky, and then also the risk of Ash was hit with disable.
Yep. It's gonna slow down the fight. Thankfully, Tiamat has abilities that are always cast every 20% of its HP. Cast 2 arrows at the start for the first 40%, and then these breath attacks are for the next 2 thresholds. And then this final threshold he takes.
Okay, fight not cooperating today.
Yeah, Tiamat is a rough fight. That final 20% it takes, I believe, 25% damage.
Against physical. So against physical, Tiamat gets an ability that drastically reduces physical damage. It does not reduce magical damage, which is a significant reason for using magic here. Although there is also the fact that Tiamat resists every single element except ground, which it is weak to, and air, wind, which it absorbs. So we're dealing decreased damage here, but by using the reflect strats and getting those extra hits in, enough extra damage is used that the strategy is viable.
Yeah, and while you could only use 3 reflects here, I
There we
believe.
go.
There we go. Okay. I believe
First
the mages
try.
would run out of magic if you did that because you're getting 1 less damage per instant. Also, it's slower.
Indeed.
Yeah, Tiamat is definitely one of the more tricky bosses. Yeah. Also quickly disabling the gambits for Larsa and Pinello because I don't want them to immediately cast spells on self as soon as they are out again. Because if I don't have Reflect on, I don't like them to cast spells on my own characters, please. Also making a nice detour to the Feywood, just running around the boss that normally in a casual playthrough you would probably fight.
Yeah, but it's a very difficult fight. It immediately casts a special ability that just puts all sorts of bad status effects on you, including confusion.
Not immediately, but more or less immediately.
Wow.
At like 20% HP, and then a couple other times, it's a tricky fight. Like, I came up with a strategy to beat it with basically minimal extra input in the vanilla version of the speedrun, and that took me some time to figure out, let me tell you.
In hindsight, I'm very impressed by that, even though I've seen it so long ago.
Yeah.
In fact, I had watched that.
Yeah,
run.
luckily we can run around that.
Yeah, I remember watching that run.
Don't
and
gotta
thinking
do
it was
it.
required. From like, oh, you can just run through the Feywood. Oh, good to know.
Yeah, because for the one of the first widely available speedruns, like in English, outside of like Nico Video and such, was a segmented run on Speedrun's archive first, and then the Crystals for Life run, which that's the event that predates RPG Limit Break. And yeah, we had a donation incentive to fight Elderworm, so we fought Elderworm. So Freddie thought it was necessary for a bit.
That's the video I learned off of, plus the notes that were being updated at the time.
Yeah.
The routing notes.
When I first started, I thought bloggy farming was a requirement of any percent. And then I said, nah, this is boring. I don't want to do it. And then I didn't I didn't finish learning how to run this until years after that.
Yeah, after the Crystals for Life run, that farming McGammon minions like that was the first thing I routed out.
Yeah. I thankfully never really had to do that. I have done it before, but not very much.
Tis a staple of 1, 2, 3, though.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, the PS2 version of this category doesn't quite have as many tools to gain LP quickly, so that is done there. And it is stressful.
Yeah.
Very. And we're 1 XP away from the category being not possible, even.
No.
So, because Vaughn gets left with 1 XP if you do everything properly. So you're literally XP perfect.
Yeah, because you have to kill, like, I believe 1 mimic or battery mimic in Barheim.
Yep. And if it wasn't for Bosch, quote unquote, taking XP, then it wouldn't be possible. Even though he don't, on PS2, your guests never level.
Yeah, but they do reduce the amount of XP. Basically, the XP is a flat amount granted to the party and divided among them equally. If there is a guest, then the divisor is 4, so you get 1/4 of the enemy's XP value for each character instead of 1/3 or 1/2 or whatever.
Yeah. That's, we kind of, in some versions when you can level, one way you can very much abuse that system is early on, you can kill enemies that give you a lot of XP before the rest of your party members join, and since they join at your level, they are joining at that higher level without having to split the XP initially.
Yeah, so now we're running through the Still Shine of Miriam. We have been assigned a task to get the Sword of Kings by basically a seer of sorts, the Grand Kiltias. And yeah, so that's why we're here. We have to go around and do some things to open the path. So the first one is to touch the sword there, and then after that we have to, in order to open the path beyond the sword, to get the statue to raise it, we have to get 3 statues to point towards that big statue that is holding the sword. And we're going to hope for single turn statues all around, especially in the first 2. One of the interesting things is that in TZA, when you rotate these statues, you can get the speed up, but you are not able to move again until the entire sound effect, which is not sped up, like the animation is finishes. But there are enemies around these that can deal a good amount of damage. So fortunately, this is a 1 turn. Just have to rotate it clockwise once and move on. And we're going to hope that the second one is as well, because there are some of those blue bomb type enemies called balloons near it, and they can deal quite a bit of damage.
Unseen here, we're dodging a trap, which is why we don't go straight across this room.
Yeah, it's a petrified trap, so it's kind of annoying.
But yeah, there's a 66% chance that it'll be a one-turn statue, because it can be in one of 3 directions. All but the direction that it's supposed to be.
One turn again.
Yep. This is when you get to learn your clockwises versus counterclockwise. I know I...
Gang, can I poke in here with a quick update?
Sure. There's a boss coming
Madelon,
up. And, There's a boss coming up, and then right after that, you can go ahead and do that.
You got it.
Yeah, and this boss coming up is called Scar. It's one of our first ones that actually have a effect that affects the party. In fact, there's 2 effects on this one, I believe. Is this the one where you can't use technics?
No, this one...
Or is it just the metal?
This one, it's just like metal equipment. So, like, there's a value attached to each piece of equipment. Is it metal or not? The more metal you're wearing, the slower your ATB charges. But fortunately, mages are not using metal equipment. So, reflect strats make Scar go down really quickly. Anyway, now, go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So Care Bear 21 donates $25 and says, I want those Waka and Riku Perlers and to see that blindfolded fight. And with that donation, we hit the incentive to see the blindfolded fight later in this run. So Madelon, you were saying earlier that you wanted to hit it. It's done. We're going to get to see that in a marathon.
Nice.
And that reference to the Waka and Riku Perlers is, of course, a reference to some of the amazing prizes you could potentially win if you make a donation. You don't have to do anything extra. You are automatically entered to win the prizes at the level at which you donate. If you want the details on how much you need to donate to hit certain prizes or what the prizes are that are available, type !prizes in chat right now and you can get all that information.
Okay, I can't help but have noticed that you ran away a little bit and the sound stopped and you were able to turn the statue again more quickly. Is that a thing for all of them that I've just never known?
Yeah, you need to run away and then you can make them turn more quickly.
You learn something new every day, folks.
That is a known trick, yeah.
I did not know.
I've definitely not played enough Zodiac Age. I've definitely played enough Zodiac Age that I should have known that. But
We also picked up a chest with the Sage's ring, which is also a bit relevant. It's pretty expensive, 10k, so later we'll sell it. But we also use it to get a bit on Penelo because it halves the MP cost of spells. So that's pretty significant discount.
And we also went out of the way for a ruby ring earlier, which automatically gives reflect.
Yeah, and here we have our next Esper. So this is Mateus. The Esper is actually basically puppeteering this woman. So Mateus is a he. And yeah, so it's weak to thunder.
Which is what we've been using anyway. Yeah, weaknesses also.
Yeah, there's also some...
Good.
You also need to be careful with positioning because the way reflect work is reflects back to the closest enemy. So you need to make sure Mateus himself is the closest and not the Ice Acers.
Yeah, the Ice Acers having...
Something similar will come up in the next fight as well.
Indeed. The next fight, which we're going to get to pretty quickly because of running speed, is going to be Judge Bergen, and he spawns on one end of the arena, and then some soldiers spawn on the other end. So we want to get up to Bergen and damage him as quickly as possible. It's also worth mentioning that he has a small amount of magic evade chance, so it's possible to do everything right and just have luck completely work against you. But with the amount of damage that you're able to put out, it's usually not too big of an issue. What's a bigger issue is the fact that he hits really hard, and your tank is in danger.
It's why we will use a bubble mode. Fight is dangerous enough.
Actually, that makes me... Another mechanic of this is if your party members are not in your party, or if you are in a town, status effects will not tick down. So you can be hanging out in this area and apply bubble, apply decoy, apply reflex, and then you can go into the next, or teleport to the town and keep those effects timers running. Very important for this fight because you can't buff before it otherwise.
Ice Shield is there for money and potentially damage reduction against ice. I believe just money, correct?
I'm going to wear it with Balvier
Okay.
as his shield.
Yes, it would be better damage, better evasion than the shield you have otherwise.
But yeah, the Ash and Penelo basically used the same reflect that was applied to them before Venus Scarf for 3 fights in a row. But on Balvier, I need to reapply it each time because he's also running around and then it wears off.
So the Empire is attacked, and how are they able to fly here? Because this is Yagd, and that's like a mystical thing that they're not supposed to be able to fly through. But they have, and they've killed the Grand Kiltias. And here is Bergen, who did the killing. He is not a nice guy.
This promote to get rid of Bergen's buffs, and Balvier needs to like sort of use it as a wall for the soldiers to make sure they don't get too close, and all the spells that reflect back to the judge.
Balthier, the leading body blocker.
Yeah, it's actually a somewhat tricky fight to learn to get the positioning right, to make sure that you really block those soldiers. Because once they get too close and you're no longer hitting the judge, the fight is going very poorly. Let's...
Finally selling our spoils from the jelly farming earlier.
So flame staves are important because they boost fire magic, and one of the cool things about fire magic is that its damage can be tripled by that oil spell that we got earlier on. So that combination lets you do some pretty significant damage. And as we start scaling into the mid to late game, it keeps magic damage relevant longer than it otherwise would be at these low levels.
Yeah, also the next spell that we buy will be Viraga. Right now we have the Tandara spell, so the Ra spell. So we will be now going to the next Ga level of spells, but then we will also be switching over to fire, which indeed goes well with oil.
Brief detour for those Berserker bracers. Those are important because Berserk not only doubles the rate of ATB charge, which is really nice for gunners, but the Berserk status also doubles physical damage dealt. That is huge. Thieves' Cuffs for money, I'd assume, because I don't think we're counting on any steals.
Yes, money. I think I'm already like quite lenient on money anyway, but I'm picking it up anyway.
Marathon safety.
Just in case.
But yeah, this sequence of music, Mosfor and Highwaste into Saliga Wood into Fond Coast, I love it. Like, these are 3 of my favorite tracks in the game.
And it's a good thing they're so cozy too, because there's not really much to do otherwise in this area.
Yeah.
It's the long run.
Long run to Arcades, yeah.
Not as long in this version though, with 4x speed.
No. But it's a nice chill segment. You're mostly running around. You got to find some Moogles. We're going to find that out once we get to the gate out of the Saliga Wood here. They're trying to repair it, but the boss Moogle is kind of miffed that the other Moogles are on an extended break. So you have to go and get them to return to work and fix the gate.
And they're hanging out at their party pavilions instead of working. Tisk. I bet Hurdy and Gurdy were in on it.
We get to see the FF12 Moogles. Quite a different design from some of the other Final Fantasies, but I do think they look quite cute.
Yeah. Fortunately, little cutscenes like this are not sped up. But yeah, there's 4 different sets of them here.
Yeah, last 2 ones are close together at least.
Yeah.
Going over the bunny path.
Also, thankfully, they let you go straight to the gate afterwards.
Yeah, you can follow the Moogles, so you don't have to do this run over again. So we get to the farthest ones last.
Yeah, there is a teleport crystal in this area, but we have no reason to ever come back.
Nope.
This run.
Getting the gate repaired now. Oh, I might as well mention it. If ever anyone likes Final Fantasy XII, there are guides available to learn to speedrun it. The community is very nice. The one thing I would like more of the community, if there's a bit more runners. But
Definitely.
the runners that are there are all quite nice people.
Yeah, Madelon is one of the newer runners to the community. It still has been around for quite a while at this point.
Yeah.
A couple of years already.
Yeah.
I guess I have some veterans on commentary. So compared to that, I might be new.
I don't know if I want to mention how many years I've technically, since I started speedrunning this.
I started learning the speed run as it was in 2012, so yeah.
Yeah.
But then I got caught up in routing and didn't end up doing speed runs of it really. So like I have a really embarrassing time that I actually have beaten, but I don't know where that video is.
Yeah, you walked so we could run. As it were.
There's Firaga. Something to note about the Firaga spell is that there's a maximum, essentially, animation capacity for graphics processing reasons. And in the PS2 version, it was pretty strict. There was a cap of 8. Firaga is 4. And so you could only cast 2 Firagas, and no other spells would happen while those Firagas were happening. But in TZA, that has been tripled to 24, so you can absolutely cast Firaga while casting other spells. So that is a significant buff to the spell, in addition to the ability to triple it with oil and increase the damage with reflect strats, your augments, in this case Serenity, and the staves.
Yep. We're just applying a lot of different multipliers at once for this to really ramp the damage up.
Yeah, right now setting up our gun users already with the licenses, just to have that menu out of the way. They're not used quite yet. We have enough license points to set them up in this like second biggest menu, basically. They get licenses for the equipment they need, so the guns they need will use. Some swiftnesses to make them faster. And quite importantly, also the adrenaline ability, which makes them deal more damage if they're low health.
That's right.
So we'll be deliberately damaging them down so they have that boost.
Yeah, it's a bit more significant for the gunners because of additional setup steps that have to happen if you're doing it with magic. For example, in the vanilla Final Fantasy XII speedrun, which uses Spellbreaker, the magical version of that, pretty extensively, the fastest way to damage down is to do essentially calculated spells on the casters. So you'll have the casters out, they'll cast a spell that will damage them both almost all the time, depending on where you are, into critical HP. You might think, oh, I can just KO a character and then raise them with a Phoenix Down or a spell. But no, that raises you to exactly the threshold of not being in critical HP.
Yeah. So you can back up if you do a little too much damage by rezzing and then just hitting someone with a staff is usually what we would do. But a lot of routing and thought in that run has gone into how much damage you are dealing to yourself at any point in time.
However, there's another way to do that, and that is to remove an accessory or piece of equipment that gives HP, and then you can then raise them and then add that on. So that's another method.
True.
That will be the method that we use for the gun users.
Makes sense.
I'll say just ring for the half MP costs.
Putting the Sword of Kings on Vaughn so that the sword doesn't get auto-equipped on Balthier. It does not have any evasion in this game. It has 30 in the vanilla, so we use that actually as a tanking weapon for a little bit. But the main gauche and the shield are significantly better, and we need more. We need the evasion chance more in this run, so that's why we're making sure to use that equipment, which auto-equip would put the Sword of Kings on Balthier otherwise.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying that the Sword of King and these other, like the Treaty Blade, the story-relevant swords that you don't need licenses for, get equipped with such high priority, because usually we want different things in this run. So you kind of choose a character that isn't too important and have it out of the way equipped on them.
We have been informed that TTG had a power outage. Hopefully we'll get him back. If not, Freddie and I can certainly carry commentary in the meantime. So if you're wondering why one of the names has dropped off the commentary, that's why. But we're pretty close to the end of this strictly running segment. We're going to have a couple bosses here in the Sultan Cave Palace. The first is that non-official hunt that kid gave us. That is going to be the Mandragoras. There are 5 of them. They can cast annoying status effects, but they do die to a pair of Firagas. And so that's going to be the method used. Hopefully they will group up nicely and die in larger groups, but that is not always the case. Another method to kill them, which is also kind of tricky, is to use Traveler, but we have not bought Traveler, so we will be using Firaga instead. Now, the way they behave, they split up at first, and so they're all going to come together at a certain point after this. So if you're using Traveler, you wait until they grouped up. But here, you just want to get to them as quickly as possible. Not a bad fight, I believe. Okay, Balthier was awake at the end. And there is a little nice healing trap near here. It's kind of like they do.
Mana trap, actually, for that one, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a healing trap.
Yeah, the
here as
mana
well.
runs out, so having the traps to have them back up for the MP is quite nice, because they're so low level their MP runs out. But that was quite a nice fight. Like, it can be dangerous because they inflict all sorts of bad status effects. But that worked out.
Yeah. It can get you stuck in a loop of having to continually revive your characters. Or at least unsleep them.
Yeah, and you may have noticed that one of those Mandragores took a few more hits. That's because they all have different resistances and weaknesses.
Something that you might start seeing a little bit more, but especially for here, is that you can unequip and re-equip an item to completely reset your... Or you can do either, but usually we unequip and then re-equip to keep the same gear. To remove the animation, basically completely reset your character from what they were doing. So in that case, we used it because we were throwing a potion on Balthier to heal, and that has a very long ending time. You can't open a door until that animation is done, as we can see here. We went straight into the menu in order to quickly remove that animation.
Yeah, sometimes I don't like to get into these loops of trying to open the door, but the enemy damages me, I throw a high potion again, enemy damages me again, I'll throw high potion again. And need that to be reset, that was explained, kind of breaks through that loop.
Yeah, it also is useful in certain fights where it's like you have very tight timing to get through it. But now we have another very tricky fight. This is Ahriman. And Ahriman is annoying for multiple reasons. Fortunately, Firaga deals quite a bit of damage to it. So that's a bonus that you have over the Fyra that the PS2 version uses in this fight. But we're going to start off by using a bubble mode here on Balthier, because there's a very good chance he's going to need it. Now that was enough damage to skip a phase of divides there. Have to reapply decoy, and then looks like he's going to go away already. So using an elixir on the caster that does not have the Sage Ring. Now here, we're going to have Mazer Eye cast, but Balthier survives because he had that bubble mote on. That deals a lot of damage. And normally...
Balthier, please.
Yeah, normally you would cast like a direct fire spell once they all started going near you. You could also tell which Ahriman is real by it looks a little bit realer. It's kind of like Phantom Ganon in Ocarina of Time, where the visuals are just a little bit sharper. It has a bit of an aura. But there's a lot that can go into that fight, but on 4x speed, you kind of just try to power through.
Yeah, doing the AoEs makes it a lot safer as well.
Yeah, I also had a nice float mode available for that hallway full of traps, so we can just float right over.
Yep. There are a lot of traps in that hallway.
Yeah, it's a very nice thank you from the game.
It's kind of like, oh, you just beat 2 really annoying bosses in a significant dungeon. Here, hope you have Libra or know they're there.
At least in
this game is very much like that.
Yeah, it's true. Thankfully, Zodiac Age autosave, you don't lose that much progress even if you get surprised by the traps too badly.
Yeah, that's true. But this is the kind of game that has like save crystal mimics
Yep.
or like traps right in front of the save crystal. So even if you think, oh, finally, I can heal up with a save crystal and save my game,
Oh, you should.
it might throw something at you still.
You should totally throw the bangle on next to the before Hydro. That's a funny one.
It is a funny one. And in fact, that line of traps that Freddeh is referencing is actually used to damage down characters, at least in the non-New Game Minus version of the Zodiac Age.
That's true.
Yeah, I've just like if they happen to die already on the way, I don't need it. But otherwise, it's definitely wait here this way. Otherwise, definitely, I might just run over the traps on purpose, indeed, just to damage down the gunners.
Yeah, we have Balthier's old quote-unquote friend Jules here. Was supposed to give us a way to get into the city, and he does do that. Also, supposed to give us something else, but so we have to do it the hard way, which we'll find out in a bit.
Cough, cough.
Cough.
So now we're up in the main city of Arcades, and it is very tiered. So like the rich have their own spots, and then now that we're out of like where the poor and destitute are in old Arcades, you have these things called chops that denote a certain amount of status, and we need to get some because Balthier gave a couple to Jules, but Jules just took them because that's what Jules is like. And now he's like, oh, you should do this. After we pay him.
A little bit of a lining in the pockets there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay, you could just buy chops for like 100,000 gil. Cheap, right?
I think was it 100,000 or 1,000,000? I forget which, but it's a lot.
It's yeah, I missed the number. I know there's a lot of zeros though.
But you only need 3 of them in TZA, so we're just going to go get these 3 pairs of people who want to learn things from other ones and talk to them and get chops as rewards.
Which is sometimes more easier said than done. There's some weird spawning things that can happen and with movements and where things spawn. And like occasionally, for whatever reason, something that usually spawns at one place will like switch positions with someone else, and just be off in a corner randomly for no reason. And then, or something will path weirdly, but usually it's pretty consistent.
Yeah, there's basically 4 that I know to easily recognize, and then the 3 I see first are the ones I get.
Yeah, in the 100% version, you have to do the whole thing. Because you have to do the whole thing specifically to get the Sandalwood Chop, which is the high-class version, which lets you into a single area, which you need to go to in order to complete the Enter Every Zone achievement, basically. And that's the only reason you have to do every chop.
Mm-hmm.
Of which there are 28. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone who's done that run is familiar with all of the pairs.
Indeed. So now Jules is like, okay, yeah, you helped me out a little bit. I'll help you out. Not really. I'm doing this because, oh boy, the juicy info that I already have. And this thing that you want to do could benefit me too. So, all right. Now we're getting a lift to Draclor Labs, and that's where Balthier's dad, Sid, is. And we're going to go confront him.
Yes, so the ye olde classic Sid, an enemy in this one.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and mention this now. This is not the Sid fight that is going to be blindfolded. So that's going to come up towards the end of the run. This one is the Sid 1 fight, as we call it. But we have to go through Dracula Labs first. And as you can see, someone else is here first.
I say we didn't do any of this. Where are all these people lying on the floor? Taking very long naps. See that one just up against the wall, just very sleepy.
See, that guy's head is
trail of
moving. He's
bodies.
still alive.
A trail of bodies you didn't make in a Final Fantasy game. What?
Never happens.
Is Kefka here somewhere?
Yeah.
This is a tower.
I was thinking Sephiroth.
Did Sephiroth do this? Okay, so you hear that ding, that means we got elevator trolled. There's roughly, I believe it's a 30% chance that the elevator will bring more,
You don't need to keep throwing potions. I mean, you do, but...
the elevator will show up and bring more soldiers. If that does not happen, then you can just go up to that little control panel and skip the enemies that are already there. There are 2 chances for that to happen, so we got 1 elevator troll already. We'll see what happens in the second elevator in about a minute or so.
I think I'll mention this now since there's some enemies that are here as well, but any enemy with a gun does a kind of flat amount of damage no matter what quality of armor that you have. This also applies to Sid coming up, who also uses a gun. That makes them very dangerous, especially when you have limited pools of HP with low levels. So, thankfully there's some ways to mitigate it, like the protect ability. I don't know if we'll be using that specifically, but it is helpful.
We will be using protect actually, yeah. But yeah, we constantly need to go into these little rooms to switch whether the blue or red doors are open. It's sort of a maze you have to go through. And I like to actually have the girls out of here just because Balfir gets, as you saw already a bit, gets busy throwing high potion, and it's really nice to have a different character you can switch over to actually open the door.
Additionally, they sometimes take damage that Balthier otherwise might, and that means that he throws less potions as well as being less likely to die.
And thankfully there's a save crystal at the end here, so any HP or MP that it uses will be quickly refreshed. Other elevators were kind today, so that's good.
Yeah, the second elevator, if you get trolled there, is a bit more dangerous than the first.
Yeah. Out here, please.
So you might notice that the gunners are out and being KO'd. What that means is we are not using magic on this fight, and there's a reason. First off, the rooks and Sid as well are either strong against or immune to elemental damage. That is a big thing to deal with, first off. And second, because there are multiple targets around Sid, the rooks, you need some way to deal with them quickly if you're going to use magic. So instead, we're going to be using guns in order to quickly take these down. You'll see here the Berserker Brazers are on one of the gunners, and the other has used an item that has berserked them. So now they're dealing significant damage. There's the first trick. We get a little cutscene.
Always hiding behind your toys. Pity you can never want to have.
There it is.
Sid does a little walk up to the front of the room and then does a cutscene, which does a lot of damage. But kill him fast enough and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, worst case, you can use an item or a spell or something like that to delay that a little bit.
Yeah. Kill is probably the wrong word.
Yeah,
damage him enough.
Yeah, you only have to reduce him to like 25% HP or something like that. Now we're in Valve.
But yeah, indeed, if you are somehow slow with damaging, you can throw a Phoenix down to the lane next to animatic attack, because there's a maximum on how much these animations it's willing to do at the same time, the game. And these full cinematic attacks cannot take place at the same time as things like, for example, Phoenix down animations.
Yeah, and there's ways you can really abuse that with certain abilities, like the Holy ability takes a very long time to cast.
So Redis is the sky pirate here who is kind of in control of Valfenheim. He's powerful and smart enough to do that. He's the one who was going through the Draklor labs early, and we have learned that we have been called to a place called Giruvegan, which is where gods are said to dwell, and so that's going to be a bit of a trek. Right now we're going in here to get some better equipment for our tank and for our casters, I believe, as well. Maybe.
Better guns.
Yeah.
We can get the next tier guns now.
But especially as we're facing stronger enemies, the main strategy is going to be guns for a lot of these fights coming up.
Yeah, it's mostly guns with here and there a little bit of magic still.
While we're doing shopping, is that a good time for me to pipe up a bit?
Sure.
Sure.
Wonderful. Did you know that roughly 1 out of 5 Americans live with a mental health condition? We at RPG Limit Break are proud to be raising money for the National Alliance on Mental Illness, a charity that works tirelessly towards cracking the code of mental illness through various means, such as education, leadership, and increasing the availability of care. Please join RPG Limit Break in supporting this incredibly worthy cause. And you can find out how to do that by typing !donate in chat right now. Just like this donor did, we got a $50 donation from Zodiac that just has a little, the little :3 smiley face, so a little kitty cat smile. Zodiac, thank you so much for your donation to NAMI. And remember that every dollar of your donations goes directly towards NAMI and their incredibly important work that they're doing.
Looks like I managed to buy a whole lot of X potion. We're actually quite rich right now.
Yeah, so that was like almost 50 or 51.
Yeah, that's way more than usual.
Nice.
So pretty soon we're going to have to dismount the chocobo right here, and that is because this area is thick with mist and the chocobo refuses to go any farther.
And it also messes up your map. Unless you have the middle full screen map, which is an interesting, I don't know if it's an oversight, but just adding the mini map helps.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Never mind.
Yeah, we don't want one of our gunners to be blinded, so. Mist is so thick that it turns you away. Until it doesn't. I forget even the reason at this point. Do you remember?
It's basically like kind of mystical, like, oh, It's either like they're saying the Akuria, which are the gods, are kind of letting you in, or they're just like, well, we have to go in anyway.
Yeah.
I forget.
Wouldn't it be, by definition, mystical?
Well, yes, in a way.
Indeed.
So that was Rafflesia. It's a boss that could do a lot of nasty things if it doesn't die right away.
Which it did. One of the blink and you miss it in this run. Actually, in most runs, honestly.
Yeah, because it's really weak to wind magic, so it dies very quickly in other runs as well. The only thing it can do really that is particularly detrimental is apply the sap status to your tank.
Yeah, there is a fun mechanic there if you're using magic, and then it saps magic as well. So if you don't kill him fast, you will quickly find yourself out of magic.
Bubble belt.
Immediately equipping the bubble belt, so now we don't have to worry about casting or using the motes. We also have another consumable that uses the bravery ability.
Yeah, setting up that a little bit in advance. We only have one right now, but the Domain Calvados applies the bravery status, which increases your physical damage by 20%.
And this area has a little bit of a puzzle to it. Basically, you're supposed to stand in the middle of these and then try to find the one that is more visible to figure out where you're supposed to go. These spawn in fairly consistent patterns, but there's a few different ones, and it can be tough.
And now the only forced summon of the game to open this gate.
Yep. The second one of this run, though. So I hope you enjoyed Belias. You don't get to see him very long this time.
So the next fight is going to be Daedalus, and Daedalus has some powerful AoE attacks as well and spells. So what's going to happen here basically is that Balthier is going to run away from the gunners and just let them do the work.
Yeah, I'm already buffing up here, but it's mostly for the Tyrant fight. But you might as well get a little bit of that boost in on this fight as well.
Yeah, Tyrant is the next boss fight, so the gunners will be out of the party, maintaining their buffed status until then. And the Tyrant fight is a scary fight on basically every version. I guess except for the Order of Ambrosia one, it's not quite as scary there. But it can still cause headaches. It deals a lot of damage, it has a lot of HP, and it likes to spam its instant attack, as well as having Crushing Fangs, which is an upgraded version of Sonic Fangs that the RPG dinos in the Henny Mines had. They have I believe they have a 10% chance of insta-killing.
Sounds about right, yeah. And yeah, in the Order of Ambrosia run, we actually do this pretty early, and especially compared to the rest, the total time in the run, pretty similar to regular strats.
So Freddie, why are we switching characters so much, and why are the enemies all disappearing?
So this game has some interesting spawning rules. Basically, they spawn if they are... Enemies will spawn if they are roughly just outside of like your map range, more or less, because they try to limit the number that will spawn in order to not overload the PS2, basically, which carries over even into the Zodiac age. But if you switch to someone who is far enough away outside of that band of spawning and then switch back, they are no longer they were removed because they are leaving outside and they want to despawn to make sure that things, not too many things spawn on the screen at once. And then when you switch back, they're already past that ban, so they won't respawn.
Yeah, you have to actually physically cross that with a character in order for the spawns to happen. So just be too far away and then suddenly be back. You don't cross that line, they don't spawn.
And we do this here most specifically because these enemies are very difficult.
Indeed.
And hit very hard.
And God's nasty status is like stopping.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly your character cannot do anything anymore, including running.
And also you can then kind of buffer it to where Penel happens to be where you want to be, so you don't have to backtrack.
Yeah, she usually ends up around there.
We also saw for a brief glimpse of an enemy called Entite back there.
Yeah.
They are fairly rare enemies that do not like when you cast magic. They will silence you and start casting lots of magics at you. But if you don't do that, they'll just kind of float around and be there.
Yeah, it'll only appear if there's particularly dense mist, and we got that. I believe it's a weather effect in here, and it's an annoyingly low chance to spawn.
It's also one without a really clear visual effect.
Yeah, so you can see that little spinning couple of things around Balthier. That's because we used a reverse mode on him. That means that healing damages him and damage heals him, and that allows him to tank throughout the fight because it lasts for most of it.
Yeah, that's actually lucky that we got one from Giles. That's a random drop, so we don't always have it.
Yeah, there's some randomized versions of this, as you might guess, and you can get an armor or a piece of equipment that gives you automatic reverse, which pretty much makes your character invincible, unless you try to heal him. But
yeah, or if
do that,
or if you're fighting Ultima, because Ultima,
or if you're fighting Ultima.
Yeah, Ultima has AI that's like, oh, this character's reversed. I'm going to heal them.
Yeah. AI in this game is sure a thing.
So these Oses are really annoying enemies. They can basically one-shot Balthier with a couple of their attacks, particularly Hellblaster. And here we're picking up a couple chests in order to get more money for mostly more potions.
Yeah, Hellblaster specifically is very tough.
And Phoenix Downs as well. But yeah, Hellblaster has two things that can happen. Each has a chance to hit or miss, so you can get Hellblastered and it does nothing. But one effect is a significant amount of damage. The other is very nearly every negative status effect in the game.
Yeah, they also have regular Blaster, which which does less and both of those things. And then
There was a Hellblaster that only did damage.
Yep. They also have, I think, maybe Thundaga or Thundara.
Yeah, they have magical piercing as well. So if you're using an armor that has reflect, the magics will go through. They have an instant called Rake, which deals significant damage, and Balthier, just by dint of being particularly low level, is on the squishy side. And I believe it's their melee attack that has a chance of
Petrifying,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's either that or they used Petrify or like Stone Gaze or something like that.
It might be something.
I believe other Kural type enemies have that as well, Stone Gaze, so that sounds right.
Yeah. And this is just kind of a bit of a gate opening puzzle, quote unquote puzzle. There's you don't get a map in here at all. If you open up the mini map, it's just a giant crystal on your screen. But you just kind of
it's a maze.
Yeah, it's a maze.
And in this one, the mini-map doesn't actually help you at all. because it's one zone to another.
But we made it to the bottom. We are now about to fight Shem Hazai, another Esper.
Another Haska mode for later, and another reverse mode for later. Much easier with gunners than it is with casting.
Especially with adrenaline. Now, I believe the longest cutscene of the game?
I believe so. It's a sequence of a couple.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we're going to get to meet the Akuria who gave King Wraithwall his Nethicite and his sword, the Sword of Kings. And we are going to get the Treaty Blade. The Treaty Blade they're giving to Ash to basically be their puppet again, kind of like Wraithwall was. Like, you have this power with Nethicite which can magnify magics and destroy places if you want to. So kind of a threat of extreme violence / prestige, also kind of being used to hold a realm together. Nice thing here, you can touch this after the first time and you go all the way back to the very beginning where the teleport crystal is. So you don't have to do that maze again unless you want to go deeper in it, which we are not.
Yeah, we climbed, or I guess went down the crystal. If you go the opposite way, you'll eventually find probably one of the hardest enemies in the game, Omega Weapon.
Yeah, Omega is at the center of the crystal.
True.
And Ultima is at the top.
Ultima's at the top, yep. Another higher level Esper. But that's a much larger maze.
Oh, yeah.
Is while we do some shopping a good time to update folks?
Sure.
Sure.
Wonderful. Mr. Game and Shout donated $50 to Nami and says, donating for my registration to receiving a reward from the RPGLB repository of rested relics and raiments. That means prizes. Donation goes to Host Choice. Always good to hear Babs on the mic. Thank you so much for that shout. I would love for the upgrade any % to all quests and capsules incentive for RoboTrek, which is coming up. It's not the next run, but the run after that. So I would love to see that upgraded category. So chat, if you want to also donate towards that, we're about a fifth of the way there. So we got a little bit of time, but don't sleep on that. You definitely want to be putting in your donations sooner rather than later. So type in !donate in the chat. Scroll down to the bottom of the page that it links you to. Be sure to click that add incentives button and add to an incentive when you donate.
I like RoboTrek. It is a fun and quirky RPG. Highly recommend watching it. So now...
But yeah, the shop was just stacking up on restorative items of various kinds.
Yeah, so now we're going to go to the Ridorana Cataract where there is a big lighthouse there with Nethicite crystal providing the light. And we're going to climb it to get there. And there's a bunch of drama like, what is Ash going to do? Is she going to destroy the crystal? Is she going to destroy the Empire with Nethicite? What's she going to do? And now we're just going to be running for a little bit. Once we get to through the Ridorana Cataract here, we will be fighting a boss called Hydro. And Hydro is kind of a funny boss because it runs very slowly and you can just kite it around. There are those traps that were mentioned earlier.
Like, oh, you just made it through the difficult area with all those the mantises that are attacking you. Okay, well, there's a safe crystal. Thank God. Oh, what's happening? Ah.
There's just a line of traps there. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. If you happen to have a Libra on when you're there, you're just like, wait, why? What's happening? Who would do this?
So buffing up for the next couple fights here. Domain, Calvados, Berserk, all that's good, fun stuff. Now here we are entering with fewer than the maximum number of characters. That is to reduce the chance that Hydro here uses... it used Curse.
Well, it mostly for... Yeah. Oh, you're dying in the
Yeah.
LP, fortunately, isn't really an issue at this point, I think.
Yeah, should be fine. I mean, I also often die on Shemazai with Pilfir, so I'm...
So just making up.
and he survived there, so it should be fine.
But yeah, you'll notice at the start of that fight, despite Balthier having decoy on, Hydro attacked Redis. That is kind of something that can happen based on kind of ranges of aggro and how enemies target if you're not quite in range. It's a bit of a weird thing.
Yeah, so right now, Madelon is zoning in and out here to try to find a specific chest, which just spawned. That contains a pair of Berserker Bracers. Those chests are only there in the Zodiac Age, but those Berserker's Bracers are obviously going to be used so that we don't have to keep using Bacchus' Wine on both of our gunners. Now, we also need these blue orbs, or black orbs, rather. They look kind of blue.
They're blue.
Yeah. We need 3 of them. There's 2 right there. In the vanilla, they don't spawn with every enemy you kill like they do here, but there's a pretty simple method to get them in there. But we put one in each of 3 pedestals, and that opens the way to the next boss, Pandemonium.
Yeah, this whole tower is filled with all sort of gimmicky levels. Like there's a gimmicky level, and then there's a boss, then there's the next gimmick, then there's a boss.
Yep. We'll try to explain them as they go up. This one, of course, is the Black Orb gimmick. Opening seals. The boss coming up, Pandemonium, is a boss that, at least in the original version, can go pear-shaped quite quickly, because if you don't stack things just right, they'll use a paling, which causes them to not take any damage from anything for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, the bigger concern here is actually the AoE spin it can do, and that can take out your damage dealers. But in this version, we basically just count on the paling going up. And for whatever reason, if Redis, who is able to cast Arise, which is a spell that draws a ton of aggro, he can draw enough aggro by casting Arise on Pandemonium twice to cause it to just do another attack instead of sit there for 2 minutes invincible.
Yeah, I that one is the one I specifically don't understand why it works, but
It does.
it sure does. It's like, oh, you tried to res me? I don't like that. You can now hurt me. Wait, what?
That said, Redis has disease here, which is not ideal.
To be fair, I don't think he would live much longer than one attack anyway.
No.
You're getting petrified here, which actually is kind of helpful for this.
Yeah, when you're petrified, you actually take... there are a few effects, like you charge your ATB slower and some things like that. But one of the hidden effects is that there's a damage multiplier that reduces damage you take based on how many ticks are left on the countdown timer.
And both reduces your outgoing and your incoming physical damage. By, percentage each tick.
Yeah, 10, then 20, then 30, and so on until you turn to stone.
You're confused by all these hidden mechanics. Don't worry, we were too for a long time. So now the gimmick of this is that these seemingly hidden passageway or uncrossable bridges. So you have to kill these things called brain pans. Specifically the green ones. There are red ones as well. They're called Thaidars. And each green brain pan you kill will fill in a part of the bridge, as you can see. If you kill a Thaidar by accident, or whatever reason, then they will remove one of the green parts.
Yeah, killing a Thaidar removes one per one you kill, except, the first one removes one, and then one per two. Yeah, so the first, third, fifth, and so on would remove. So obviously we're not going to kill any of those, we're just going to kill brain pans. And also remove other enemies along the way so that they don't kill the gunners.
I believe if you kill a Thaidar after you have fully filled in the bridge, but even before you've activated it, it won't remove one.
Yeah. You can kill one Thaidar then. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's like you only figure that stuff out by doing it.
Yeah. We haven't seen any Thaidars yet, but the first one's coming up in this portion. In an annoying spot.
Yeah, but I'm going to make us not see it, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so...
You can despawn it, yeah.
So by going to a specific place, you can despawn the Thaidar. And one of the things the brain pans can do is cast Doom. And so there was a countdown there. It's just faster to let Balthier drop.
Where you're kind of using that trick that we did earlier to get to a specific distance away to where these brain pans will spawn, but the Thaidar that would be next to that brain pan would not.
Mm-hmm.
I think up here we'll finally actually be able to see a Thaidar. Nope, never mind. Eventually, before we cross that bridge. This one specifically, you kind of have to do a bit of a loop where you kill brain pans that respawn. In order to get enough, because I believe it is 10 segments for this
10,
bridge.
yeah.
Never mind, we just don't see Thaidars, it's fine. We'll see it on the last one for sure.
Yeah, at 4 times speed, the brain pans respawn relatively quickly.
One more. Sometimes they just kind of don't feel like spawning for whatever reason, though.
Yeah, it's because there are other enemies spawned.
Yeah.
A couple brain pans here.
Here's one.
Hey, a Thaidar.
Yep.
They're shown by the red flame instead of the green flame.
Yeah, and this section you don't need to kill very many brain pans at all. This is actually the section where there's a rare game that's spawned by killing all the Thaidars in the area, and that's also how you get the red paths. Once you've basically completed all these green paths, you can kill a bunch of Dadars and build paths with them to get to chests that contain rare items that we don't need.
So that was the first ascent. These are split into the 3 different ascents, first, second, and third. And as mentioned before, a boss.
Yeah, so coming up on the next boss, this is an interesting one because you can fight this thing and have it not even notice you if you don't move. And I think that's hilarious.
It's true.
It is hilariously weak to fire, so you could use that strat, but the gunners work just fine as well.
I'm guessing the idea here was something like, oh, it's a fish, so if you don't step in the water, then it won't see you. Even though it's very obviously not in the water, it's just kind of floating there. Also, I don't think there's actually water now.
There is water.
There is? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if it steps in the water, it takes slightly less damage because of the terrain effect, but it's weak to fire, and Firaga is powerful, so we cooked a fish.
Yep. In oil and then Firaga on it.
What's your favorite way to cook fish? Chat, let me know by making a donation to Nami! !donate in chat. I want to hear about your fish cooking.
Yeah, do that.
The gimmick for the second descent here is that you have to sacrifice one of your abilities, basically. You can either sacrifice attack, magic, techniques, or your map. Thankfully, we have the full-screen mini-map that actually isn't affected by this.
Yeah, or you can just memorize the path.
As I say, we still use the map in the PS2 version, despite losing the mini-map, because it's easy to memorize.
Yeah, you memorize the path, and it's the fastest way anyway, so, like...
Yeah.
Also, you don't want to lose your main way of dealing damage, which in PS2 is magic. Losing attack, you could do, but you definitely wouldn't want to lose magic.
Yeah, especially for the fight coming up. 'Cause you don't get it back until after the next boss fight.
Speaking of that next boss fight, Fenrir always opens up with an AoE called Whale. So the simple thing there is to just not bring out the gunners until after. And then pretty much just kite them away while the gunners deal damage, and pretty simple.
Also, a gimmick of the Ferris in general are these hidden walls that you can just hit it with a sword and it opens. They're called the Fool's Facade. Because why would you hit a wall with a sword? Right? Nice, critical. Don't even have to res.
It's actually funny, in the original you don't want to lose attack because then Redis will use telekinesis on Fenrir, and we put him to sleep in the PS2 version. And telekinesis, he'll be able to hit from a distance and wake Fenrir up.
Mm-hmm. I think Redis is actually our highest level character in the entire run. Level 5.
I think Vossler might have been level 6. I don't know.
Yeah, indeed, only bringing in the gunners once the will has been in action.
Yep. Once an action has started, it has already done its targeting, so anyone you bring in will not be affected. Now we potentially get to see the one always, well, maybe not the only one, but the one you could get in this run, always active enemy and tight.
Yeah, there is. I don't know if it's a guaranteed spawn off the top of my head, but there is an Undine Entite that wanders around this next room here.
Yeah, it's a chance to spawn. Oh, there it is.
There it
We
is.
got it.
And it is always it is always hostile here. So Balthier, there's a good chance that he's about to get a temporary watery grave.
He'll be fine. He's the leading man.
Oh, he lived.
You know what they say about
Yeah,
the leading man.
despite the low level, he's quite tanky with all the extra HP licenses we gave him and the bubble belt.
Yep.
You also have much better equipment on him than we would in the PS2 version.
Yeah, one more of these gimmick sections, then another boss, and then the blindfolded fights.
Yep. Almost there. This gimmick is you have to... It's partially based on the different areas, but it's mostly just kind of a memory of each thing takes you to a different platform depending on various things.
Yeah. This can happen sometimes with these Burabolos.
There we go.
Yeah. On the next boss, we also see the trick that we use a Phoenix down specifically to delay a cinematic attack. Because there's only so many animations the game is willing to do at the same time. And it's not willing to do more animations than a full cinematic attack. And Phoenix down counts as animations, regardless of you're actually reviving anyone. Like, even if you just throw Phoenix down with everyone alive, then the Phoenix down does nothing, but it still counts like an animation that can delay these cinematic attacks. So whenever you see me throw a Phoenix down in the fight, it's usually because of that.
Funnily, that attack wouldn't actually be dangerous because float mode, I imagine. However, it is time. We must save time. But I suppose if you're Skippy, you might not even use a flow mode. Oh yeah, just use reverse. Easy.
Yeah, the reverse mode is important for a couple reasons here. First off, Hashmal does a lot of damage. Second, if Hashmal inflicts Balthier with disease, which is a 7% chance on its physical attacks, then his maximum HP would become his current HP. And because of that reverse mode, he's just going to be healed, so that won't have any effect.
Also, I believe you cannot be diseased if you have bubble on.
Correct.
So, not too much of a no worry of that.
Yeah. That just slipped my mind right now. But yeah.
That was something that we found out very quickly once we stopped using bubble in the PS2 run.
Yep.
A lot of these bosses also start with Protect and Shell, so Dispel helps deal with that.
Why?
Oh.
Something went wrong. It felt like the damage was much lower than usual.
Did you want to put Domain Bravados on?
Wow. No. You know, I think probably this is still faster. I'll have it clean. That's fine, we have autosave.
Yep.
Or was it? Yeah, they still have to supposed to have Domain Corvallis from the previous fight. Was it running out that fast?
Did you
I don't
equip the Antares?
Yes, I saw that happen.
Okay. Antares is a strong weapon we picked up.
Where's my reverse mode? I was supposed to use a reverse mode. Did I do a remedy instead of reverse mode or something? Okay. Where's my reverse mode?
Did you just use it?
Yeah.
But there's no reverse on.
Huh.
Let's try this again.
Yeah, okay. There's a reverse mode. Okay, there's a reverse on. I do want decoy as well. I have battle speed on fastest, Antares on, and they still have the bravery from the Fenrir fight.
Okay, round 2. Fortunately, this specific cutscene is not skippable.
Maybe I didn't have it on fastest for Fenrir, and the Fenrir fight took too long.
That's possible.
I can, in worst case, just use a float mode anyway. Yeah, it feels too early. I'm just going to do the one. Can I still? Alright, then fighting Raddus is pointless. Never mind. Now we have float mode, so it should be fine.
Yeah. Thankfully, Hashmal is only does earth magic, which float mode makes you immune to. Or at least makes it miss you. And that's Hashmal. Okay, so coming up is the blindfolded incentive for the Sid 2 and Famfrit fight. Or Gabranth and Sid 2 and Famfrit.
Yeah, so I'll go over this real quick before Madelon does the fight. There's a first section where you fight Gabranth, and that goes in 2 phases. It's pretty self-explanatory. Then there's a 3-phase thing where you fight Sid, then fight Sid with the summon Famfrit, then fight Sid again. So, at this point, taking off the, if Madelon puts the headphones back on, I will be quiet in order to let them concentrate.
Yep.
So, with that, I'll be able to offer some more detail after the fight.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah, so that was the initial buffing up. Cutscene is longer if Vash is in the party, which is why I temporarily have him out.
貴様の名誉が戻ると思うな。故郷と家族を捨てたあの時、貴様は永久に消せん罪を犯したのだ。
Wait, that's not on the right thingy. Oh. No, I'm messed something up and I'm confused. Yeah, I messed it up. Somewhere I got them in the wrong part of the menu, so quickly try it again. I got to Famfred already.
Mm-hmm.
Do want to quickly revive Freddeh there. Okay.
Chat, send your good vibes. We know that you're going to have great luck on this one.
Attempt 2.
Attempt 2, good luck.
いいかバッシュ、王を殺した俺を撃っても貴様の名誉が戻ると思うな。故郷と家族を捨てたあの時、貴様は永久に消せん罪を犯したのだ。そんなに死にたいか。ならば望みを叶えてやろう。行け。
Oh, that does not sound good. The gunners are dead, aren't they? Or the mages? Yeah, that's... Yeah, if the mages are dead, like, that's difficult to recover without seeing what's going on. Yeah. The final part. Yeah, the positioning is tricking him up, but Blightful, that's... Third tries to charm.
You got this, Madelon.
Yeah. We were close. We already had lost Famfred.
Yeah.
バッシュ王を殺した俺を撃っても貴様の名誉が戻ると思うな。故郷と家族を捨てたあの時貴様は永久に消せん罪を犯したのだ。そんなに死にたいか。ならば望みを叶えてやろう。行け。
There we go.
Nicely done.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Chat, thank you for donating to Nami to make this happen. And Madelon, that was amazing.
First tries the charm.
Hey,
Yeah. So, for your information, the time that you didn't quite make it, you got blocked by the pillar trying to get back in reflect range.
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's one tricky thing. Like, you sort of have to get a feeling for it. I need to run back so much time because you're doing it blindfolded and can't see where you're going.
Yeah, you went pretty far right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and controller
I
analog
see.
sticks can be very finicky sometimes.
Yeah, and the first was I got confused in the menu, kind of marathon nerves.
Yeah,
But you got there.
you just double tapped up. That's all you did. So you're on Penelo's gambits instead.
Yep.
Still
Yeah.
very nicely done. So that second part of the fight, you can technically defeat either Famfrit or Sid. It's really only possible to defeat Sid first there and then fight Famfrit solo in the final phase if you're lucky and doing the PS2 version, or PS4 version rather, where you're manipulating the RNG to get 2 copies of the Seitengrat, which is a highly overpowered bow. But fortunately, a lot of that is just such high-powered damage from all the damage modifiers we're stacking, making those fights go really quick. Not many chances for both here to take hits, just because the damage output is so high with all those modifiers and the good guns that we have. Now, it's time to go to the airship Bahamut.
Bahamut. Yep, this is the final, I hesitate to call it a dungeon, the final boss rush of the game.
Yeah.
It is, you fight Gabranth again. He returns to try to convince very aggressively Bosch to stand down.
He refuses.
He refuses. And then you fight the final boss, Vayne, who has been kind of the overarching big bad enemy that we've seen in cutscenes, but not otherwise.
Yeah. In fact, you haven't seen him at all in this run because we've skipped all those cutscenes. But he's in quite a few of them.
You've seen his brother a lot.
Yeah.
It's Larsa.
Yeah, this is also very close to the end of the run. Couple more minutes.
Yeah, I think there's not much special in this. It's just mostly guns go pew.
Yeah, you want to make sure that your buffs are applied, that your tank is healthy and has decoy. at least until the Undying, the final fight, you don't actually need decoy. But here, the most interesting thing about the Gabranth fight is twofold. One thing is that there is slightly longer dialogue with Bosch in the party, but it's not nearly as significant as it is with as in the Pharos fight. So you can leave Bosch in there pretty safely. It's only about a 6-7 second loss tops. And then he casts Renew himself at the beginning of the second phase, which would heal him fully. But if you cast Reflect on him, then he casts Renew on the nearest member of your party. So you can see Madelon mashing the mashing buttons to get the attack menu up quickly there, and then use a reflect mode on him, so instead he heals Balthier.
Yep, and that's Gabranth 2 down. Now we do a quick little elevator ride. Probably recast decoy on the way up.
Elevator ride. Does that mean I get to talk?
It's pretty quick.
It's a very quick elevator ride.
Ah, darn. Usually elevators mean host time.
No, this is really close to the end of the run. If you do have 1 or 2 donations, I would say you can get them in super quick, like very, very quick, like 20 seconds tops.
Absolutely. $5 from Tezzeret. I like salmon with cayenne pepper. And $12 from Quest Moreland, who says, my favorite way to cook fish is in the microwave at work. Good luck on the run, Madelon. You can do it.
Nicely done. So, yeah, this phase of the Vayne fight, where it's just Vayne, is pretty simple. It's kind of just Gunscoper. You want to make... He moves really slow. You want to try not to get hit. He'll target Balthier. It's the second phase that's interesting. So, first off, in the second one, he...
Phoenix down to delay and cinematic attacks work really well.
Yep, makes it really easy.
Mach Wave there is a cinematic attack that would not be good news otherwise.
Target's in a line.
But, yeah. So if the gunners don't move, it's fine. Now, Vayne Novus has these Sephira, which do... So that can happen, unfortunately. Bosch got killed by the Sephira. Those are things that the gunners are ignoring because of their gambits. But here we're going to have to bring Balthier back to life and rebuff him. Get him equipped with decoy again. So he is... So Vayne Novus here has abilities that you really don't want to have happen. And that's the real problem with this happening, because the recovery is not the worst part. It's the fact that he is going through a queue of things, and right here, yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I did something wrong with the gambits, because Balthier is not throwing X potions.
Huh. Looks like you got plenty at this job.
And I do have X potions.
Yeah.
I just check. It does have a gambit for it. Oh, no, it's throwing. Okay.
It looked like you were throwing Domain Calvados.
Yeah, okay. I do need to revive my character so I get the buffs that I need. They'll be fine.
Yeah, but those swords all went and attacked him pretty much at once, and it just dealt a ton of damage, and he didn't heal quick enough. And right there, a Phoenix down to delay Tree of Sephira.
Okay, this is the final phase of the boss, the Undying. When the boss kill animation / sound happens is when time will...
Yep. This is basically just a damage race and paying attention for Mega Flare.
Yeah, this is a win. Time.
GG.
Last phase, if you have the possession correct, it's a matter of seconds. Like, you need to position buff here, so the Mega Flare only hits him, and then it's just seconds and you win.
Oh, very, very nice run.
Indeed.
Yes. I have no idea. I didn't look at what the time is. 3:12. Okay, a little bit underestimate.
And that's with 3 attempts at the blindfolded fight. That's incredible.
Yeah, that was probably the main time loss. That and a little bit of time loss on Tiamat. But overall, a lot went well. And Hashmal, yeah. But
Yeah, I thought it was a really good run, personally.
Yeah, absolutely. New game minus is not an easy category.
No, not a lot of wiggle room. Well.
But yeah, let's finish it up. And thanks for my wonderful commentators. It was really nice to be focused on the run while others were able to explain things about it. So I really appreciate that. And thanks RPG Limit Break for having me. It was really fun to be allowed to do this.
And if you're interested in Final Fantasy XII speedrunning, we do have a Discord server. It is linked on the speedrun.com page. Feel free to join us, and we'd love to have you.
Yeah, thank you for submitting and doing this run and letting us commentate. It was a lot of fun.
Indeed.
Thank you so much. Madelon, where can the people find you?
I stream on Twitch on Madelon 93. So that's the main place to find me. Or in the FF12 Discord, I'm active there as well. So then you can also say hi.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that incredible run.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, gang, that was absolutely amazing, right? I was completely blown away. But we want to hear a little bit from one of our sponsors, Tantrum Merch. Tantrum Merch is excited to partner with RPG Limit Break for the first time to launch an exclusive merch collection supporting the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI. This lineup includes 7 unique shirt designs, a cozy blanket, a sleek journal, an enamel pin, and more. Plus, for the first time, our very own real-life Mimi plush with an opening lid to store your treasures. From bold graphics to heartfelt designs, $5 from every sale, excluding the Mimi plush, goes directly to charity. Explore the full collection now at tantrummerch.com/RPGLimitBreak and help make a difference. Well, gang, that was an amazing run. I'm so glad to have been here for it. I'm so grateful for my time here on the mic at RPG Limit Break. With that, my time on the mic comes to a close, but fret not. While I will not be here any longer, the absolutely incredible Star Anise is going to be taking over on the host mic. An incredible person, and I cannot wait to hear them on the host mic. So, Star Anise, I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. Y'all, we're going to take a little bit of a break. So y'all be sure to get up, stretch, get your snacks, and Star Anise will be here to take care of you when the break is over.
Alrighty, welcome back to RPG Limit Break 2025, benefiting Nami. I'm Star Ennis, and I will be taking care of you for this wonderful run of Dark Lord coming up. But before that, we are going to just take a quick break, and I will rejoin you in a second. And we are back. Hello again. It's a sleepy morning here at Limit Break, and we are just going to be cozying up to this wonderful run of Dark Lord by Karma in a second. Before we get into that, let's see what we've got in the donations. We've got $20, $21 even, from Aluvixapede, who says, "I'm not sure who gifted me a sub, but thanks so very much. Shout out to all the random sub gifters." And thank you, Aluvixapede, and the random anonymous sub gifter. We've got $10 from Diana Fire. No comment was provided, but thank you, Diana Fire. You got $10 from Dragonista. No comment, but thank you so much. Your donations make a world of difference for our wonderful beneficiary here, Nami, which stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Sorry, wow, I'm awake now. They are the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization whose work is focused around three main pillars: education and support, awareness, and advocacy. So what does that all mean? Education and support, of course, involves NAMI's 48 state offices and nearly 700 affiliates. They offer a host of signature programs, presentations, and support groups that are available free of charge. This includes a national helpline that can provide information, resources, and a compassionate, understanding, trained volunteer to support anyone who calls them. In an effort to support the mission statement of NAMI, we would like to encourage our viewers in chat and our donors to avoid using mental health-related pejoratives when describing situations that are extraordinary. These include terms like crazy, insane, mental, nuts, bonkers, etc. We ask you to be mindful of the specific language you use, as many people do not realize that these are pejoratives. Instead, consider substituting them with words such as amazing, ridiculous, wild, or bananas. We greatly appreciate your cooperation with this and hope that you can carry this forward in your everyday lives. We have $10 from an anonymous donor. No comment on that one, but thank you so much. We also have a wonderful set of prizes for you today, including one that I'm very excited about, which is the Wooting 80HE keyboard. It is a beautiful clicky unit, and it can be yours for a donation of $50 or more right up until Final Fantasy VII Rebirth later today. Thank you to Sanjan for providing us with that lovely, lovely keyboard. I'd also like to say a very fond thank you to Hockey Babbler for taking care of us all during the last run of Final Fantasy XII. They are an inspiration to me and to all of us hosts, and I will do my best to carry on in your place. All right, and